Hello everybody, welcome to this stream. It is Sunday night. We're back with the Roottrees are dead. How's everybody doing tonight? I hope everybody's doing good. I was just hanging out over at Mediocre's stream. He's doing mediocre karaoke tonight. Very fun. Fancy seeing you here, Fairy Orb. Glad you were able to, at least for now, figure out your AC troubles. I hope you're staying cool. Oh man, I'm excited to play this. So we played, and I thought we played, and I guess we played the base game, The Roottrees are Dead, and now we have Roottremania. From what I looked up, because I was like, is this like a, not like a DLC, but it's like a little bonus thing? No, it's longer than the base game. Yeah, what I found out was basically like, oh, yeah, the base game is like 7 to 8 hours. And Roottremania is like 12. So I guess we'll find out. We'll see. But I guess it's about everything that happens after the base game. So yeah, not super warm and sweaty anymore, so I'll take it despite not knowing where I stand with my roommate. Yeah, that's always like an awkward situation, but at least you are not super warm and sweaty anymore, and you do have... If you have like a roommate agreement that you like a thing that you all signed that you agreed to, then that will definitely help. And then I believe yours is like you have like an RA, right? It's like a school owned apartment. So hopefully if you and your roommate can't come to a verbal agreement, maybe they can kind of mediate and figure that out. But yeah, more content. Let's click. Let's put up our game screen. Let's do... Yeah, there you go. If something happens, you have people to talk to. Which is really, really nice that you have, like, some way to back it up. You have, like, here's what we agreed to. My roommate is not adhering to this agreement. You can also maybe document it, like, at such and such time, on this date, I turned on the air conditioning to our agreed upon temperature, and then my roommate turned it off at whatever time. And consistently turned it off, like, every time it reached, like, 75 degrees. So you can always document that, too, just so if something does happen that you need some kind of evidence for, you can just be like, hey, here are the times that this happened, here's where I tried to talk to her, here's our agreement that we have, we're not following it, etc. But yeah. What was I gonna do? I looked over to the screen, and I was like, oh, I wanted to do the zoomies. Zoom! Zoomity zoom, zoom, zoom. Alright. Zoom. Let's get a new game going on. Roottremania. Find out what happens to the infamous family in a whole new mystery. So let's get on into it. Roottremania will spoil unlocked content. Make sure you've tied up any loose ends before starting. I think I'm okay with it. I think we had a couple things we did not figure out, but it was minor stuff. So I guess let's go to slot 2? Okay. Oh, wait, there's a whole bottom section now. Who's this? Oh, who are you,
Hi,
sir?
I'm Clark.
Clark!
Probably not who you expected to be knocking, but life's funny sometimes.
Was Clark? Clark was a Roottree? Clark would... Is Clark the guy who, like, married... Clark is Clark Rafferty, right? And he married some girl named Danielle, and then he married Jane LaRue, and then he married Kim LaRue, and it was like a whole thing. I feel like I can also hear my baby knocking on our office door. I've been in the office, like, pretty much the entire day trying to get office stuff packed up. And so that my baby didn't feel left out, I put the baby gate up on our office door, so all day long he's been able to kind of, like, look in here and see me. And he really wants to come in, but it's like, buddy, you can't come in while I'm trying to get a bunch of stuff packed, because all he wants to do is pull all the stuff out of my halfway packed boxes. Thereby, it's very much like a 3 steps forward, 2 steps back process when I'm packing with him. Although I usually manage to get a fair amount done, not always. And so he's been able to look in all day, but now the office door is closed because I am streaming. So I don't think he's super duper happy about that. But yeah, it's been a time packing around our house. We're moving on Friday. We'll get the keys to our house tomorrow. All the documents are signed. All the money has been handed over. They just have to file all of our paperwork with the government. I don't know, city, county, state. Whoever gets the paperwork tomorrow. And once our paperwork's filed, we will... Yeah, oh no, not our house sold. We have purchased a new house, but still own our current house. But so far, that is all good. So we will get the keys to our new house. But we will still currently own our old house. We have a neighbor who wants to purchase our old house. So he is currently working on getting funding for that. He wants to buy... He has a grandson who's like in his 20s. And he wants to buy it. He's our next door neighbor and he wants to buy it. So his grandson will live next door to him. So yeah, we haven't sold our house yet, but we're in that process. But yeah, just packing up. We'll get the keys tomorrow. I've already kind of mentioned this, and I'll probably mention this. Yeah, I think it'll be really, really nice. And our next door neighbor is like, they are so sweet, like insanely sweet people. And so I'm just really happy that they're gonna own our house because I know that they will take good care of it because I see them take care of their house. So, but yeah, just as a heads up, there will be no stream on Tuesday, which I announced on Discord, or Thursday. So I'm doing this, whatever, I don't need to apologize for it. I'm not going to stream on Tuesday or Thursday because I need time to move and get us settled in our new house and take care of myself in the process, which I think not streaming on Tuesday or Thursday will help out a lot. My family is coming over on Tuesday to our new house. They're going to help us clean the new house and get it all ready, get bathrooms all clean, kitchen all clean. That way when we move on Friday, we will have a clean place to start putting away stuff because I will probably be doing a lot of unpacking next weekend on Saturday and Sunday. And I just want the house to be clean. So I'm going to go clean it. I'm going to put like liners down in the kitchen cabinets, all that kind of stuff. So when we have all of our stuff there and I'm unpacking the boxes, everything has a clean place to go into. So my whole family is available on Tuesday evening. That was the one evening everybody was available to come over and help. And then Thursday evening is just like, I'm going to be packing up a lot of last minute stuff because we are moving on Friday. I also might go ahead and just move my computer early on the day on Thursday. That way it's already over there. That way the movers don't have to worry about moving my computer, or I don't have to worry about them moving my computer and possibly damaging anything. Plus, I also have my husband's computer set up, so I don't want anything to happen to either of ours. So I'll probably move our stuff over computer-wise on Thursday, and then movers will come move all the rest of our less delicate stuff on Friday. And then that'll give me the weekend to kind of get settled. And I should be back to stream next Sunday. I think a week off is not even like a full week off, but kind of a week off should be pretty fair. Alright, but that's the plan for now, and I'll mention it again at the end of the stream just in case anybody is coming in. But yeah, alright, Clark. Yeah, you are not who I expected to be knocking. Life is funny. Remember that time you married 2 sisters?
You've done well staying anonymous. It took us a while to track you down.
Oh, you found me.
A lot has happened in the last year. Far too much of it public. But there's stuff going on behind the scenes, too.
So it's just like a year later?
I never wanted to be president. I'm not great with stress. And with my mother's deteriorating
Excuse me? Excuse me? Clark Rafferty became president of Roottrees Candy Company? And with my mother's deteriorating condition? What was her name? Jane? Or something, Rafferty?
I'm sorry, I'm rambling. I'm not here for sympathy. I'm here because part of the fallout of Sam's book is that everyone's coming out of the woodwork.
Okay. So this is later, because Sam said she was going to write her book. Now apparently that's published, and we're dealing with the fallout.
Now that it's public knowledge, the Clanson Trust covers any root tree despite their history with us. A lot of potential cousins have surfaced.
Hmm.
You may have seen that man on the cover of News Time. It was a disaster for us.
Okay, we'll need to look up news time. News time? News time. That's a weird way to capitalize
And
that.
then Miracle went and made it all about himself.
Oh no, Miracle. Which one? Which Miracle? The eldest Miracle or the second or the
The long
third?
and short of it is a lot of potential
Oh
cousins
no,
just
news
showed up.
time. Thank you for putting that in
Sam's
chat.
helping some of them. But she's not really going about it the right way. And she's not taking calls from anyone in the family.
Well, okay.
I let it slip through a mutual friend that I found you, and I was stopping in. It's manipulative, but I'm hoping she'll reach out to you. You can let her know I'm on her side.
Are you on her side?
In
I
the
have
meantime,
no idea.
if you're willing,
Notable
I can
events.
share our files with you. Pass them along to Sam if
Okay.
she reaches out. I'm genuinely hoping she'll realize I'm an ally.
Clark, I don't feel like you can
Feel
be
free to
trusted.
do your own research. I've been told you enjoy things like this.
I do.
To each their own.
Okay. Starts out with possible infidelity number 3. Let's go. Okay. So I feel like our cork board got like so big. Okay, so here we have all our stuff. Here's our dude. Clark Rafferty. Oh, we can put new pictures of people in. Okay, so we'll have to be on the lookout for extra pictures of people. Okay. Zachariah Morden has a new picture. Let's see. Chris Rafferty, Clark Rafferty both have new pictures. Okay. So then we have lots more potential root trees, yeah. Okay, possible infidelity number 1, 1921. Infidelity. So this person is also on the original tree, and whoever they had the infidelity with. This person's on the original tree. Whoever they had an infidelity with who's already married, and we'll get a picture of them too. So then we gotta find their kids, and their kids' kids, and their kids. Okay, so this one is gonna be much longer because this was such an early infidelity. And this one is 1949. And then possible infidelity number 3. Now the real question is, who is this person? Somebody had a first affair, second, third, fourth, and final affair. So this person had lots of affairs with lots of people, some of whom were married, and then they had some children's. And then you can open this envelope after the whole family tree's been filled in. You'll have to be extra sleuthy this time to deduce this time around to deduce the truth. Pay close attention to what you find. Be sure to look into loose ends. And then family tree update. So somebody from the original tree got married and had a kiddo. So this is just a new addition, nothing scandalous. Okay, so 1921. So the Roottrees Candy Company was founded in 1908 by them. I wonder when they had kiddos. Because I'm wondering if the first infidelity was one of them, or if the first infidelity was in this first generation. Lots of potential affairs. James in the 90s. Yeah, do like a 23andMe and just like very easily figure it out. Okay. Previously on The Roottrees Are Dead. So, oh, this has 8 intuition points? Weird. This is a new investigation with a new focus. After many months of newfound interest in the Roottrees, it is recommended you try and catch up with some of what happened since last time. Some web searches may yield new or different results, and some books and magazines from your previous investigation may be relevant to your new one. It's also a much more widespread search. The list of first and last names you can choose from will contain red herrings. Not all of them will be used. Shoot, that sucks, because I used that strategy a lot on the first time around. Definitely using the name list to our advantage to figure out, like, who's what. Yeah, impossible to say if the married woman's child is her and her husband's or her and the affair partners. That's true. That's true. Alright, below is a reminder of some of the most notable beats of your initial dive into the Root Tree family tree. All evidence from before is still available and for your convenience. Any searches that do not lead to new information still function as they did during your first investigation. Okay, Root Tree Candy Company, founded by Elias and Gwyneth many years ago. The entire family has a financial reliance on the health of that company. Most of the action took place in or around Butler County, Pennsylvania, where the company was initially located. Elias, Carl, and Raina were on the cover of magazines? Yeah, that... Oh, okay. That's like a weird point. Also, how many of these are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, I was trying to see if each one of these was, like, linked. Okay, other notable root trees such as Lauren, Miracle, and Jim had physical media such as record albums, books, and movies associated with them. Lauren's 2 diaries were probably the most useful resources overall. Very true. And it was Lauren. That's Clark's mom. Mentioning many of her relatives directly. Yeah, the Butler County Times was a really good source. The 5 pieces, Elias's children, could be identified based on the initials of the original candy flavors. There are 5 presidents of the Root Tree Company. Many were featured in periodicals. I feel like we didn't utilize the periodicals and library enough in the last game, in the, like, base game. Maybe just periodicals. Like, I watched somebody else's playthrough of it, and, like, they had periodicals I didn't even have on my list. So I'm going to be on the lookout for those this time, I think. Caroline Morden, Stephanie Jones, and Brian Jones were featured in campaign posters. Oh, we get to find out if she was elected, I bet. And led to Caroline's art book, which enabled you to fill out more of the tree. Caroline's art book? I don't even think we discovered Caroline's art book. I don't remember Caroline's art book. Many of the younger root trees were found by following a complex rabbit hole through a conspiracy site, that led to finding a searchable web address for Chris Rafferty, Lauren's grandson, Chris Raff 75. November root tree was really difficult to place. Her occupation could only be found via Brian Jones's company website. I mean, it was hinted at in the diary. Yeah, we did not find an art book. Ronald and his brother Robert go by Ron and Robbie. Both work on a TV show called Brother Trouble until Robbie embezzled money and fled to Paris. Ron unsuccessfully tried to have Robbie removed from the Clancy Trust. Sam and her father were cryptically mentioned in a book about historical letters. Oh, yeah, this book. We did not find that book in the base game either. I saw that book in a separate playthrough that I watched. We did not find that book. There are also a few dead ends and red herrings. Aloysius Herring Root Tree, claimed it was a root tree, but not. Family Man, a book about Elias Root Tree, turned out to be propaganda and is not useful. Lauren's other books, historical romance, were not very useful on their own, though could lead to other information. And Caroline Morden's sculptures were not useful. Okay. Alright, so today is August 3rd, 1999. Okay, it was 1998 in our last... How did we miss so... I have no idea. I feel like I was very thorough, especially on, like, my second go-through, where I was like, okay, let's sit down and, like, go back through every website and follow all the leads. Like, there's clearly stuff we missed, but I don't know if I just wasn't paying attention. Alright, today, August 3rd, 1999, knock at our door. Clark Rafferty LaRue, current president. Although his name, I thought, wasn't Oh, he's married? Maybe he hyphenated it when he married. Explain that multiple people... Okay. He also handed you a letter that he said you could share with Sam that said the following. To both of you. The company I hired to help us with the Clancy Trust is busy pouring through the entire family's history, as well as people they may have had contact with. That said, the family is not particularly happy with this and are doing their best to slow things down. Many of them are actively avoiding our interviews. Every time there's a high-profile public case, it causes headaches. So please, I don't mind if you do your research, but I ask that you stop going to the press. Instead, we have a highly trained team of lawyers to back you up. We're ready and willing to verify anyone and everyone you could believe could realistically or it could be realistically part of a relationship that led to the birth of a new root tree. Just tell us who to investigate by filling in the sections of the tree, and we'll take the time to handle verifying that the timeline checks out. But keep in mind why we're here. If someone didn't have a child or has already been disqualified by our lawyers, like in the case of the girl with the negative DNA test, is that important, do we think? That's interesting. That they would, like, specifically mention it. I don't know. Okay. There won't be a place for them on the tree. We're not just looking for affairs and infidelities, we're only looking for the ones that led to potential new root trees. Some spots in the new section will be marked with a tree icon. Those areas are reserved for members of the original family tree you filled in 8 months ago. Okay, 8 months. Just like last time, be sure to use birth names for everyone you add. Married names or nicknames won't be enough. To start sorting out the infidelities, I recommend you turn your eyes to the men in positions of power. I'd love to say that's only because it would have been a lot harder for the women to hide 9 months of pregnancy and birth without the family noticing, but I can't. I'll be blunt, I'm no stranger to infidelity. I wish I could claim that I was a perfect husband, but you've seen the family tree, so why pretend? Some of us learned how to wield our family name and fortune to our benefit, consequences be damned. And I can't change the past or unhurt those who I betrayed. Instead, all I can do is be honest with myself and to you, refuse to make any more mistakes, and do my best to sort out the various messes we've left behind. So please, fill in the tree, and together we can figure out how to begin to make amends. Good luck, and thank you both. Clark. Alright, so we've got some notable events. 6 pieces. Oh, the Root Tree Rift. Clark Rafferty LaRue. 5 Ps. There's a star next to that one. Roottreemania and Anonymom. Alright, today's August 3rd, 1999. It's been 8 months since you helped Sam Madsen with the research necessary for her book. Sam was true to her word and paid you an incredibly large sum of money. She never mentioned you by name, however, so you've managed to keep a low profile. The Roottrees, on the other hand, have not. Below is a summary of notable events since the book's release, though you can refresh your memory in full detail by searching online. 6 pieces. Sam Madsen's book about Elias Roottree was released in February. It was a bestseller for a few months, and at the time, Carl had not yet been replaced. Oh, so Sam... Yeah, okay. Interesting, that's funny that she called it 6 pieces. Alright, the Root Tree Rift. In March, the Root Tree Company stumbled publicly as they attempted to respond to the book's release, with multiple conflicting press releases and a clear lack of leadership, probably because they didn't have a president. Clark Rafferty LaRue. Clark was announced as the permanent successor to Carl Roottree and officially welcomed Sam Madsen to the family officially. The company hired an outside legal group to handle the changes to the Clanson Trust. This included any other new questions of lineage. 5 Bs. After this announcement, there was a rash of different people claiming to be root trees, mostly dismissed as opportunists and scammers. The highest profile of these by a wide margin was a rapper named Felix Fellows, who changed his moniker to 5 Ps as a publicity move at the same time. 5 Ps is the only notable person on the updated tree. So some guy named Felix Fellows changed his name to 5 Ps as a publicity move. Oh, he's the only other notable person, that's why he gets a yellow star. Got it. Okay, Roottreemania. In another high-profile misstep, Miracle Root Tree publicly and vehemently denied that 5 Ps was a root tree. The Root Tree's legal team then offered to do a DNA test to get 5 Ps to drop his claim. And, in a moment that caught what seemed like the entire world by storm, the test proved he was a root tree, and suddenly the world was obsessed with the root trees. Anonymom and Jane Doe root tree. So in July, an anonymous woman, who the press began to refer to as Anonymom, appeared in interviews with her face and voice disguised. She claimed that an affair with a root tree led to the birth of her daughter, aka Jane Doe root tree. If true, thank you so much, my love. If true, this would make her daughter yet another secret root tree and therefore entitled to a share of the Clanson Trust. Now, nobody knew it at the time, but this would turn out to be the last chapter in the Roottreemania saga. Nobody knew this would turn out to be the last chapter in... Okay. As more and more of Anonymom's story came out, people began to notice how much it echoed 5 Ps in nearly every significant way. The court of public opinion began to turn. Confirming the world's suspicions, the DNA test, orchestrated by lawyers on both sides, proved that her daughter was not a root tree. This final event caused public disappointment, smugness from doubters, and countless accusations of the entire ordeal being an elaborate hoax or attempt at fraud. Things got a bit ugly, and the fun of Roottree-mania seemed to disappear overnight. Now, a month later, it seems like a distant memory. Oh, that's so much. Oh, that's so much. Okay. Notable events. Oh, start here. Yeah, I guess I probably should have read that, huh? Alright. Let's get on the internet. We got Pix Pop, we got welcome text, we dialing on. Whoa, the world's spinning. No documents printing, no notification. Okay. So we're back with our spider search. Okay, news time. Aha! Periodical. News Time is a major news periodical that releases a new issue every week. The rapper 5Ps famously appeared on the cover, claiming to be a root tree. Oh, I wonder if that's like people appearing on the cover. Maybe that's important, or that's at least how we're going to get a picture of him. Then 1 week later, Miracle Root Tree did the same, denying that he was. Because of his high-profile back-to-back discourse right before the start of Roottree-mania, they appeared to be the de facto publication to get news about the ongoing Root Tree saga. So they'll probably be like our biggest thing. I know the Butler County Times was like our big periodical last go around, but I think News Time might be our big one this time. Because they appear to be the de facto publication. Okay. They reported record subscriber numbers during this time, which lasted until the end of Roottree-mania, when the world generally stopped paying much attention. They went back to reporting on more traditional news. News Time appears to be available via your periodical search. So which periodicals? Okay, yeah, we didn't have Teen Blast last time. We didn't have Starlit or Silver Screen Magazine. Those are all ones that we missed, because we had Business Watch, Butler County Times, and Modern Music Monthly. Oh no, we had Starlit, but we missed Silver Screen Magazine and Teen Blast last time. So we missed like 2 whole newspapers. Because I'll bet there was something about like Teen Blast with like the teenage girls and stuff like that, and we just didn't recognize it, which is okay. Okay, so let's start with News Time and let's search 5Ps. Let's get a picture of 5Ps. Felix Fellows, aka 5Ps, famously appeared on the cover of News Time, kicking off Roottree-mania. Oh, it's printing a lot of stuff. Then a week later, Miracle Root Tree appeared on the cover of the magazine in an article that focused heavily on 5Ps as well. Summary of both articles, as well as a close-up of the photo of 5Ps is holding... Oh, as well as a close-up of the photo 5Ps is holding on the cover of his issue have been added to your evidence. Okay, so let's go back and let's real quick search 5Ps and see what this brings up. 5Ps, aka Felix Fellows, because is Felix Fellows even his real name? Is a rapper who has found some recent radio play after being publicly confirmed as a long-lost root tree and entitled to part of his fortune. His alias, 5Ps, is a play on 5 pieces. An article you find on a website known for their particularly harsh reviews of modern music, is it Modern Music whatever, monthly? Gives his most recent album, Root of All Evil, 1 star out of 7 for whatever reason. With the headline, more poser than my action figure collection. Okay, delete that note. Okay, this note, look up in MMM. Maybe? Okay. Okay. Oh, the review mentions that his real name is David because he used to go by Dirty Davy. And the author rused the fact that this rebranding was a blatant marketing stunt at the expense of his mother's tragic past. She overdosed when he was 16. Apparently, only one of the songs on the album is new, and the others were simply rewritten to turn blatant references to sex, drugs, and violence into clumsy euphemisms. His rise to prominence was kickstarted when he appeared a few months ago on the cover of News Time, holding a photo of his mother with Guy Hudson. At first, the Root Tree Company denied it vehemently. Miracle Root Tree even appeared on the same magazine a week later, but since then they've backtracked and publicly welcomed him to the family. Their press release at the time stated that they had new evidence that confirmed his story. Okay, so real quick, let's take a look at our evidence. Okay. Could this rapper be the next Sam Madsen? So this is Felix. Get a picture of him. We can't. That is Guy Hudson though. He's wearing that like same orange blazer in his hair and stuff. Okay, and they said, I think they gave us a close up of it. Yeah, there it is. There's the photo. Oh, she's wearing a shirt that says Root Tree Family Picnic. Okay. Okay. Hang on, let's go back here. Okay, 5Ps, aka Felix Fellows, appeared on the cover of News Time holding a photo of his mother and Guy Hudson. The article concerns his insistence that his father was Guy Hudson. The story was dramatic and sensational and initially dismissed as fake until a DNA test proved that he was related to Guy Hudson. Now, 5P says that his mother, Joanna, was Zach Morden's secretary when he retired, and then Guy Hudson's secretary for only 1 or 2 weeks after that before she quit, the first few weeks that he was president. His parents divorced when he was 4 after his father learned of the affair. Felix and his mother then moved to Portland because she was afraid for her and her son's life. He grew up with her until he was 16, but one day his mother never came home from the movie rental store where she worked the register. And the next morning, they found her dead from an overdose in her car. She had stolen all of the cash from her drawer and spent it on heroin. Oh no. As Felix went through her belongings, the only thing he had to remember her by were a hairbrush she always used, some photos, and a stuffed animal from her childhood. But then he found it, a box hidden in the back of her closet, and inside were love letters and photos related to Guy Hudson, as well as a letter from his father containing threats. He threw it all away, with the exception of the one photo he appears with on the cover of News Time. He says it was the only one where they were dressed. And the only one not from the affair itself. Pictures shown inside, in full inside the magazine was added to your evidence. The magazine also includes some additional history about 5P's career. Felix Fellows was born to Riley and Joanna Fellows, but has never rapped without a moniker. He tried to find success by opening for other artists and even by selling CDs on street corners in Portland. He's only recently started going as 5P's to harness the power of his lineage. Now, the writer did some research into the truth of these claims, was able to confirm that Joanna did work for the Root Tree Company as a secretary sometime during the early to mid-70s. It also confirms that she died of a drug overdose and that Felix went into foster care soon after. They were unable to track down his father. They also reached out to the Root Tree Company, but at the moment the company's blanket statement was, since the release of a recent book, Root Tree has seen an overwhelming number of false ancestral claims. None have been factual and nearly all have been knowingly dishonest. We encourage individuals to reach out to us in an official capacity as opposed to attempting to use our name in the media for publicity. Okay. This cool old miracle root tree. Oh, and he's like looking at it. Charlatans and thieves. Miracle root tree fires back. Miracle root tree appeared on the cover of News Time shortly after 5P's did. He vehemently denied that 5P's was root tree. This article was from before the DNA test that proved it. Miracle doesn't focus much on the details of 5P's accusations regarding his mother and Guy Hudson. Instead, he comes across as exhausted at the events that have been going on behind the scenes, as well as the character of those he feels are attacking his family. He starts with 6 pieces content. He says that although most of the book was based in fact, it left out anything that wouldn't fit the agenda. He points out that Sam's daughter still earns a generous salary for overseeing the farm division of Root Tree, and that Sam did the same before her. Sam's family was not destitute, and that really it was only her son who chose to take on a job with no salary. He claims that though they didn't have to, the family helped pay for her son's medical bills after voting that it was the right thing to do. Miracle also says that the story about his father, Elias, shunning EC was one-sided, leaving out Edward Clancy's blame in the whole thing. Elias gave him a simple ultimatum: stop sitting or be disowned. Miracle says it was EC's own choice, and that Elias allowing him to earn food and shelter on the company's dime was a kindness, especially considering that he and John continued to live together. Miracle then pivots to the fallout from 6 pieces. Now this only has one intuition. Alright, he recounts a deluge of claims to the Clancy trust that the family have been subjected to. He doesn't cite any specifics, but says that every time someone comes forward, the family devolves into arguments. They've had to hire an outside legal team to help, but so far every case has been demonstrably, laughably false. All they do is tarnish his family's reputation. He focuses on 5P's, who appears on News Time before him, calls him a grifter and a delinquent, and says he is using their names and products to sell filth to the masses. All the accusations, he says that this is the most dangerous because it exposes the world to hatred. He cites 5P's lyrics as violent, sexist, and ungodly, and prays the boy will repent, retract his lies, and find religion. Lastly, he turns to the future. Miracle states that those that wish to hear the true story can join him on his farewell tour this upcoming fall. The Miracle's Root Tree are planning on touring the country's churches one last time. And now that at age 71, Miracle is the oldest living Root Tree. While he plans to continue preaching in his own church in Butler County after the tour, this is your last chance to hear the truth from the man with the most complete recollection of one of America's most notable families in your own hometown. The article mentions that Miracle's son, Miracle Jr., did not wish to comment and has a statement from Clark Rafferty LaRue through the Roottrees law firm. Miracle does not speak for his entire family. We are working carefully on a plan to definitively disprove any claims of infidelity in our family's past. Is that me? The article also does not refute Miracle's claim that he is the oldest living Root Tree despite Sam Madsen being born the year before him. It's unclear if Miracle made the claim out of ignorance or spite. That was so long. Alright, and then our photo. Rapper 5P's appeared on the cover of this, holding a Polaroid of his mother Joanna when she was Zach Morton's secretary at a company picnic. Okay, that's why she's got like the shirt on, the Roottrees family picnic. Claims that Joanna and Guy Hudson, also in the photo, were having an affair that led to his birth. Okay. That was so much to read. Also, my hubby dropped off pizza. I'm gonna grab a quick bite. Okay. Yeah, Miracle isn't great. Alright. That's Ernie Madsen. There's Guy Hudson. Okay. There's Guy Hudson, and his wife was Patricia Jones. So, let me Google Guy Hudson real quick. Let me see around, like, what time frame. Oh, not browsing history. You know what I mean, game. Ah! He was only president of Root Tree for a few years in the late 70s, early 80s. He's the one who had the, oh wait, hang on. This is different. And had mostly faded into obscurity except for the fancy flavors debacle. He was the one who was like, caviar should be a flavor. But during Roottree-mania, he suddenly rose to prominence again after 5P's appeared on the cover of a magazine holding a photo of Guy and his mother. Few people that existed adjacent to the company in the 70s have come forward with stories about debauchery and swinger parties. Guy liked to throw large holiday parties whenever he had an excuse, and they often got very out of hand. This fact has led some people to speculate that the night he died in a car crash, he was drunk or impaired in some way. I forgot. That's right. Which one of these affairs? Yeah, that's what I was going to see, like, what year. I think this means he's going to be the person with the many affairs, like the 5 affairs. Or 5 possible affairs, I guess, that we'll investigate. Butler County released multiple statements and ample evidence that proves decisively that it was not foul play and no party had taken place. Roottrees lawyers have been quick to threaten litigation to anyone who has tried to disparage Guy or the company in public. So it's got to be this, 75 to 82, 70s to early 80s. This is going to be our man, Guy Hudson. And he was our Presidente number 3. Okay. So, problem is... Oh, no. Just kidding. This one has the star, so this is 5P's. But his name is actually... Oh, dang. Oh, no. The first and last names are separate. Okay, he's David Fellows, and he is a musician? So the first affair was with Joanna Fellows. And I actually want to see, what was his... We don't know who his father was. Or do we? His name is David. Okay, his mother, Joanna. Okay, I don't know if we have... I don't know his first name. But she was a, like... She did retail. Right, she was like a record store. There was a name in one of those articles. Okay, I thought so, but then I was like, is there? Used to go by Dirty Davy. She overdosed. Felix Fellows, mother and Guy Hudson. His mother Joanna was Zach Morton's secretary when he retired, and then Guy Hudson's secretary for only 1 or 2 weeks after that before she quit. The first few weeks that he was president. So yeah, she would have been like the first one. His parents divorced when he was 4 after his father learned of the affair. Felix and his mother then grew up. This one doesn't mention his name. Grew up with her until he was 16. Yeah, so she worked at the movie rental store where she worked the register. So that's why I had her as working retail. Letter from his father containing threats. Oh, Felix Fellows, here we go, was born to Riley and Joanna Fellows. Okay. So his name is Riley. So Riley Fellows, Joanna Fellows, she worked in retail. Their son David Fellows is rapper. Okay. I was like, or a musician. And then Guy Hudson, let me just double check that he was president number 3. Oh, I still have to get 4 correct. I was like, I have 3 correct. I have to get 4 correct. This time around, I forgot that they changed it. Okay. Okay. Let's see. I'm gonna try looking up this article. An article you'll find on a website known for their particularly harsh reviews of modern music. Makes me feel like it's Modern Music Monthly, but maybe not. Oh. No, I... Search periodicals. Modern Music Monthly, okay. Clicking on it brings that up. Okay, so can I just spider search this article? Okay. Can I spider search his album? Root of All Evil is 5P's debut album. According to various sources, the album is mostly material that 5P's recorded for his mixtapes before he became notable, but re-recorded with lyrical differences and professional production. All Your Problems was the first and only single released. 4, that's so many, yeah. After dropping the single, 5P's announced he retained the infamous celebrity lawyer Stevie Whitlock to sue his family. To date, it doesn't seem like he's followed through. He wants to sue his family? Why, I wonder? That first single didn't make much of a splash, but Whitlock, known for his publicity stunts, paid thousands of teenagers a few dollars an hour to call and request the video on MTV, which increased its profile. MTV eventually caught on and banned the video altogether, which in turn received national news coverage and made the song even more popular. Search All Your Problems. Oh! This track is the only new song on the album. The subject matter of the song is the hypocrisy of those that claim money is evil. He points out that the only people who think money is evil are those that have it, those that can afford not to be greedy. In the song, 5P's triumphantly talks about taking the Roottrees' wealth due to it being his birthright and giving it to those who need it most. Find a copy of the song on a suspicious-looking website and download it for your records. So sus. For all your problems, 5Bs.
Attention, Roottrees.
Let's go.
This is 5P coming at you
Yeah.
from the real world.
Yeah.
You know, the place you ain't ever lived in.
Ooh.
You say money is the root of all your problems. Root of all your problems.
I wonder if they put like an album together. Can I listen to this on Spotify?
Cash that your ancestors gave you.
Alright, this is still the only single from 5 Pieces' album, Root of All Evil. It received some airplay but didn't make a big splash critically or commercially. Still, it's kind of catchy. Yeah, it doesn't say that the lyrics don't include clues.
My pappy's classic trust should keep you away. Yo, it's disturbing. Catching a sermon from a geezer who's never known hurt, but blurts out these claims.
I feel like it's very Eminem adjacent.
When all of your worth it came free with your name, you expect me to treat your lectures on greed as some expert creed from he without blame. But instead, I turn my other cheeks and spread them. When you give me a kiss, you'll know
This is
just
so
when
dumb. Okay, so this section's about Miracle.
Money is the root of all your problems. Let
It's kind of catchy.
take those problems away.
whoever calls dollars the root of all evil, just
This is
trying to make small
so good.
pursuits of real people.
Okay.
You silver spoon fiends, you're the world's purest treacle, while real world folks burn their spoons for the
Treacle?
So once more
They
with
put
passion,
treacle in the
more
lyrics?
tragic orphan, your mansions and Porsches are actually horrible.
How I'm better off penniless, grasping for morsels. How wanting my share,
That's actually extortion.
Haha.
Candy ass name, synonymous with sweets. Oh, you wanna call me classless? I'm gangster from Portland, but I play that game. I came up on the streets, the only streets you reppin' are Park Place and Boardwalk.
Wait, none of that rhymed.
When I knock, have G's
That's fine.
my pockets, please.
Cause the same God that got to steal my mom from me is what he wants, right? Want you to live in poverty, and if you're suddenly not eager to
I don't know that any of this is actually
I'm gonna have to take my portion and I'll do it all legally.
important.
Class action, courtroom, decorum, I'm way past your fancy ass dormant.
You say money is the root of all your problems. Let me take those problems away.
Bring the choir in.
You say
Bring the choir in.
money is the
Oh, okay.
root of all your problems. Let me take those problems away. Money is
Okay.
the root of all your problems.
Can I make it stop? I can, right?
Take those problems away.
Okay. Pause. Or next, or whatever. Okay, alright. Well, that was very fun. Alright, let's check out Stevie Whitlock. Stevie Whitlock is a lawyer with a history of publicity stunts and grandstanding. Still, she's managed to rack up quite a few legal victories for C-list celebrities and athletes. She became famous in the mid-1980s after successfully suing a multinational sandwich company whose 12-inch shoves were actually an average of 11.5 inches long. Wasn't that a real thing? Was that like Subway or something? Stevie argued that since the company sold 1 billion sandwiches per year, there was enough missing sandwich to make a sub long enough to span from New York to Los Angeles. The jury awarded her a paltry $5,000, but news coverage of her crusade turned out to be priceless. Unfortunately, none of this seems related to the Roottrees. Probably, at least because it does mention the family. Yeah, so Sam Madsen and her 2 dads are mentioned, and then clearly something that's aimed at Miracle. That's true. And does this... It doesn't have any, like, intuition points associated with it, though. So I'm hoping that that's an indication that it's not... I don't know. Not important. Not, like, critical. So here's the deal, though. I feel like we got this section about 5Ps filled in. Like, is there something in there that's gonna, like, clue me into something else? MTV. Okay, let's see. This harsh reviews of modern music. So the Guy has slept with how many people other than his wife? Allegedly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's making his own 5Ps over here. Alright. Let's check out Dirty Davy. According to fan sites, Felix Fellows is not 5P's actual name. His birth name was David Fellows. Dirty Davy was 5P's previous stage name. He used to sell records and perform live shows in Portland under that name. Some people selling his old mixtape on auction sites. One's apparently called Dirty Devil and another Dirt Poor. Alright, nothing there, and... Okay, Dirt Poor was a mixtape by Dirty Davy, released in 1996. A lot of online discourse from people who like to point out that in one of the songs, Felix Fellows includes someone that would be revealed to be his own distant cousin, Raina, in a list of attractive women. Lyrics to one of the songs, Heat, mentions a few different prominent female actresses, models, and musicians from the 90s, then provides a crude pun or line about what Fellows felt about them. When re-released in 1999, much of the rhetoric was toned down to be less overtly profane, and the line referencing Raina was clumsily replaced by Dana, a reference to the character from X-Files. Oh, I searched Dirty Devi. Oh, thank you. Thank you for catching that. I'll go back in just a minute. Okay, nothing for Heat. Okay, let's try Dirty Devil. Thank you. Allegedly, he had that's true. Illegitimate kids with 5 women. Not that he only slept with 5 women. Now, who knows if they were even all women? You know? He could have slept with a lot of people. Yeah, that's true, but we're only investigating the ones that possibly led to people being root trees. So only the ones that could have led to kids. Dirty Devil was 5 Pieces' first mixtape, released as Dirty Davy from the early 90s. There's discrepancies and debates about what year exactly it was released based on some of the pop culture references, with the range thought to be somewhere between 92 and 94. One of the songs, Yes I Can Jump, seems to be at the center of the confusion. Some fan sites claim that there are multiple versions with different track lists and song links on them. But because there's very little evidence of the mixtape online as it is, it's even harder to verify that information. Yes I Can Jump is a song that's on 5 Pieces' mixtape Dirty Devil. Seems to be the only song that didn't make it onto a studio album that people thought should have. In it, he references a popular movie from 1992 called White Men Can't Jump. This reference has caused some confusion amongst the fan base. Because of it, it's agreed upon the mixtape had to come out in 92 at the earliest. Others point out that Fellows references seeing the movie on his 17th birthday, and that would have been in 94. Some take this to mean that the album had to have been released in 1994 at the earliest. Others claim that he was likely just trying to make himself sound older, since in response to some of the more questionable lyrics, he has stated multiple times that he was just a dumb kid when it was released. Okay. I wonder if this will be important. Like, they've clearly put this information in as, like, when did this album get released? And is that important or not? I won't even make any notes. I'm gonna get rid of Stevie Whitlock since it was like... Oh, and that... wasn't in that magazine. Okay. So I wonder if I should take a break on him and maybe search something else. Let's just try 6 Pieces. Let's just try the book. I'm also going to look it up in the library as well. Okay. This is interesting. There's an older version of this page on the Time Travel Archive. Okay. Published 1999 hardcover nonfiction, Sam Madison's book was released earlier this year and details the truth about Elias Roottree, as well as Sam's fathers, Edward Clancy Roottree and John Miller. You help verify her story, so much of the book's core content are familiar to you. That said, Sam had some sections on other family secrets and rumors. Much of it didn't matter to the primary purpose of the book, and some of it is new to you, may be important to your new search. These sections have been added to your notes. As this book has not yet been released, there's no additional information about this title. Okay. Interesting. Let me read this page about it. So 6 Pieces, Unwrapping America's Sweetest Family by Sam Madison was released in early 99, perhaps assisted by the still relatively recent Plane Cash, shot to the top of the charts. The reviews were mixed, and its time on the bestsellers list was limited to only 2 months. Most of the reviewers agree that the core of this book, about Samantha's fathers and the struggles they faced, was compelling and that the takedown of the hypocrisy of Elias Roottree was deserved. However, many took umbrage with the timing of the release and the tone of the book, which seemed vindictive. Fallout from the book led to the Roottrees company scrambling to release a statement, and due to a conflict of leadership, famously released multiple conflicting official statements over 3 days. This confusing move was referenced in popular culture due to a late-night sketch about indecisionitis, but more traditional analysts have been calling it the Roottree Rift. A few months later, due to Roottree-mania, the book re-entered the charts and sold even better than the first time. Let's take a look at it. 6 Pieces, Unwrapping America's Sweetest Family, and that's her dad, Sam Madsen. So this one has 5 intuition points. So Sam's book has a few different passages about her own history with the company and the rumors and gossip that she collected during that tenure. She ran the farm for a period starting around 1968, after the death of Elias Roottree, until her daughter Gwyneth took over in 1984. Most of the relevant rumors coincide with the reign of Guy Hudson, who took over as president in 1978. Sam was very much not a fan of Guy, and according to 6 Pieces, it was an open secret within the family that Guy was very much not a fan of remaining faithful to his wife, Patricia. Many of their hires at the time were young, single women. Guy often spent a lavish amount of money on private parties. This was 20 years ago, and Sam warns that most of it is hearsay. Still, you find the following information that may be relevant. Okay. One of Sam's farm supervisors was named Elizabeth, and Elizabeth had a daughter who Sam never met, but who worked as one of Guy's secretaries. Wait, one of Sam's farm supervisors was named Elizabeth. She had a daughter who was Guy's secretary. Okay. According to Elizabeth, a caterer from a local restaurant called Antonelli's met her daughter. Wait, according to Elizabeth, the mom, a caterer from a local restaurant called Antonelli's met her daughter at one of Guy's parties, and they eloped quickly due to a pregnancy. Elizabeth wasn't aware that the party was for swingers. The rumor has it that her daughter showed up with Guy and didn't seem comfortable switching partners. So the question is, was she already pregnant with Guy's child? And then she happened to meet this caterer, and they decided to elope because she was pregnant. Okay, Guy's main positive contribution to the company involved expanding the markets previously untapped by Roottrees. However, when he went on trips overseas, they were often for weeks at a time, and Guy was known for spending more time and money on unofficial business than meetings with distributors and manufacturers. It was said that he bribed at least one politician to open a factory in Brazil. I am sure that will be something we can search. I'll probably go through these again. I know this is so juicy. I'll probably go through this again bullet point by bullet point and investigate each one of those. There's also a section where Sam speculates that Elias may have also cheated on Gwyneth. Oh. Elias and Gwyneth? Whoa. Gwyneth was always much kinder to Sam than Elias was, and was the first to invite Sam to family events. While she has no hard evidence, Sam always got the impression that Gwyneth was able to coerce Elias into allowing Sam back into the family using some kind of leverage, instead of it being a natural course of events. She mentioned that Elias and Gwyneth were known to loudly argue, sometimes about another woman. Sam also says her son Ernie once asked her, "Who's Beth?" because he overheard them yelling about someone with that name. As far as Sam knows, Elias once had a secretary named Elizabeth, a different Elizabeth than the supervisor from the farm, but she never met her. So I'd hazard a guess that that's what this one is. Let's throw in... Okay, so anybody who was a member of the family, we can just get their whole name, but anybody here... Okay. I feel like that's probably something. Possible infidelity in 1949. I'm really hoping that something in here is about Miracle. Okay. So now... 1975 to 1982, these infidelities. 75 to 82. Okay, so... So one of Sam's farm supervisors was named Elizabeth. She had a daughter who Sam never met. Okay. Antonelli's. Okay, I guess let's start up here. So Elizabeth had a daughter. So we're looking for the daughter. Yeah, if we can prove that Miracle's a fully hypercritical... Yeah, absolutely. If he was a jerk, that'd be hilarious. Oh, that'd be so juicy. Alright, let's just search... Oh, wait, there's an older version of this page. Oh, upcoming book. Okay, alright. Okay, A large number of Antonelli's restaurants, not just because the chain seems to be a common name for Italian restaurants. Yeah, I figured we were gonna have to do a periodical search. Let's check out the Butler County Times here. Antonelli's is an Italian restaurant. It's been in the Butler County Times twice. The most recent time was when it closed in 1992. The owner, Rochelle Zimmer, sold the land the building was on at the time of the article. She was unsure if the restaurant would move to a new location or if she would retire. Many years before that, there's a puff piece from Valentine's Day 1978 that asked recently married residents of Butler County how they met. Christine Garland responded. She and her husband Steve, who was a chef at Antonelli's, met years ago when she delivered produce from her mother's farm. So if her mother was one of the managers of the farm, maybe this is her. Steve used to work extra hours just to be there during her deliveries. Though they grew apart when the restaurant switched suppliers, they reconnected by chance and eloped at the end of last year. Now she has a bun in the oven and they're both working as much as they can. She's a secretary but went back to delivering produce on the weekends, trying to save up money to move to Boston and open their own restaurant. Okay. So let's... Whoever it is, it's either this one or this one. Well, no, they got married. Everybody here separated from their person. So this must be, what was the name? Christine Garland? Oh. Okay, Christine Garland, and she was most recently a secretary but delivered produce on the weekend. And her husband, Steve Garland, probably? Or no, Stephen... Oh, her husband Steve was not related to the owner. Her husband Steve was a chef at Antonelli. So he must be Steve Garland, too. Okay. And we think maybe they have 2 kids. One from this infidelity and one who was maybe theirs. Or unknown if both were theirs. Let's try Steve Garland in Spider Search because he's a chef. And let's see if he opened a restaurant. Okay. Fine. Let's search her. What was her name? What was her name? Christine? Christine? Okay. Yeah, how do we find a picture? Oh, yeah, let's see if we can search Christine Garland, because if she was maybe from the area. Just comes up with that same thing from... Or maybe Steve? Okay, here we go. Steve Garland is mentioned in a couple articles. First is an article about how he met his wife Christine when he worked at Antonelli's. Second is from months later, in September 1978, a listing for his weekend cooking classes, Gourmet for the Groovy. The blurb mentions that he's been giving lessons from his home kitchen for the last month so that he can keep an eye on his son. The third was from 1991 and is titled Local Author Sued by Former Butler County Resident. It seems that a local author by the name of Mark Zimmer was sued by Garland after Garland saw Zimmer promoting his book Kitchen Tales on television. His recipe book was partially plagiarized from the recipes that Steve Garland would give his students during his cooking lessons before he moved. Okay. So Mark Zimmer was an author. Now I wonder if Mark Zimmer is related to Rochelle Zimmer, who owned the restaurant or owned the land that the restaurant was on. Okay. So that was for his book, Kitchen Tales. Maybe we can search that. Oh, there's so many things to search. Article mentions that although recipes are hard to copyright, Garland accompanied each recipe with a short fiction about how he learned it. These usually doubled as a way to remember certain ingredients. Garland's bean salad, for example, involved making a trade with a gnome for some magic beans. Apparently, these stories were found word for word in Zimmer's cookbook, in addition to additional stories that followed the same format. Okay. So, what if we could search... Okay. Let's maybe spider search this. No. Okay. Okay. I don't know if this will, bring up anything more important. Yeah, I'll search kitchen. I was just kind of going through this article top to bottom. That is my next step. I was just like, let me just see. I want to make sure I don't miss anything. I'm sure I have already, though, but that's okay. Okay, Kitchen Tales. It's Mark Zimmer. Nope. And I'll search Mark Zimmer in, like, spider search and stuff, so... Oh, re-released as Garnishing the Truth. This is out of print. The entire description of this book, according to the library system, is a recipe book that contains stories. Yeah, it's true. We do know that the first son is a boy. Did I not spell that right? Garnishing the Truth. Could the author publish under a different name than the one you searched for? Possible. Full title, Mark Zimmer's Kitchen Tales. Garnishing the Truth is a cookbook credited to Garland and Zimmer, released in 1994. Actually quite successful after the duo appeared to promote it on a daytime talk show. There have been multiple printings since. According to a book review, recipes are accompanied by stories that help the reader remember the ingredients. The reviewer says that it seems perfect for learning to cook with the entire family. Here we go. Okay. Mark Zimmer. So Kitchen Tales is a story-based recipe book credited to Mark Zimmer that had some success after it was featured on a morning talk show. Released before the internet was widespread, so mentions are rare. One book collector states that the publishers were unprepared for the demand and there was no second printing, so it was unusual to find a copy in the wild. You can find an alternative medicine website which focuses on cooking with natural ingredients. It mentions that one of Kitchen Tales' recipes used salt water. The owner of the site has included a scan of that recipe, which was added to your evidence. She says, if you switch out the salt water in the recipe for a mix of 2/3 spring water and 1/3 filtered seawater, it tastes great. Oh. The plated loaf. Oh. Okay. Kitchen Tales is a book that combines recipes and stories, mild popularity. Okay, you find a scan of one story on a website. It demonstrates how to bake the plated loaf. For years, two bakers, Flora and Yates. This is probably going to be a reference to Somebody's Affair. Yeah, Mark Zimmer. Oh, and Stephen Garland wrote it. So do you think, for me searching it, it was... Good job. Steve Garland and Mark Zimmer. Okay, the introduction of this book. Hello, White Star Wisher. Welcome to the stream. How are you? How's your weekend been going? We're doing good here. We're just streaming, playing The Roottrees Are Dead. Well, we're playing Roottree-mania section of it. Okay, the introduction of this book is a series of acknowledgements from Steve. The first is, Christine, thank you for everything. Your support means the world to me. You are the apple of my pie. The second is, to James and Robert, you're becoming... Oh, good job, Farrah. I'm so glad you caught that they were both authors, because this is probably exactly what we needed. The second is, to James and Robert, you're becoming amazing men and incredible chefs. I guess I'm a good teacher. A finalist to Mark Zimmer. You proved my storytelling approach to recipes could be popular. Without you, this book couldn't exist. There's also a foreword by Mark Zimmer. When I first met Steve in 1978 when he taught a cooking class, next time I saw him was over a decade later when he was suing me for stealing his recipes. Yes, really. So you might wonder what I'm doing in this introduction. Well, turns out that Steve and I had more in common than we thought. Instead of settling in court, we settled it at McCarran's brew house over a game of darts. They said they'd give us the first drink of the night free for an entire year for mentioning them. You're sick? Oh no! I said, that sucks. But you're still doing okay. I had a great day with your boyfriend, a streamer friend I haven't seen in a long while, and now you can see one of my favorite streamers for the next couple hours. Hey, what up? By the end of the game, he and I agreed we'd both rather make a ton of money together than spend a ton of money on lawyers. This is actually like a cool ending to this. It's pretty rare to meet your best friend so late in life, but when I decided to retire, I moved to Boston just so we could hang out. So if you're browsing this book in a bookstore, please buy our book. We need more money for when the free beer runs out, and the bookstore could probably use the sale. This is adorable. James and Robert. I'd be willing to guess that James is the first one. And that Robert is our second one. And the question is, how in the world do we get pictures of any of these people? They're both probably, well, this was published in 1994. It's only 1999. These are probably young kiddos. Let's maybe give them student K through 12 for now. And we don't have any pictures yet, right? Oh wait, I don't think I ever even finished reading this. For 2 years, bakers Flora and Yates flirted. They grew their friendships, compared recipes, and combined knowledge. She loved his salt and pepper beard, and he adored her rosemary cheeks. They thought sweetly about one another. One day he was whisked away, conscripted to bake the army's bread. By the oil of the lamp, Flora's tears began to salt her bread. The recipe asked the reader to combine flour, yeast, sugar, salt, olive oil, rosemary, combine things and things. It was 10 to 12 years later that they met again, seemingly by fate. Flora's unique dough had earned her a position as the king's personal baker, and Yates had found success as well. He baked for the kingdom's 45 diplomats. One day, they returned from the Dutch Isles with a gift, 450 unbaked loaves, and were sent to the palace bakery to teach a method that required no kneading. Allow the dough to proof for 10 to 12 hours, and spread out, let it sit for 45 minutes, then prepare a Dutch oven to 450. Okay. Upon seeing Yates, Flora was both delighted and distraught. She felt as if she was torn in two. She had not been made aware of the gift and had already prepared buns for the palace ovens. She wished to greet Yates warmly, but was struck by her fears that he'd be unable to bake with her, that she'd face retribution for being unprepared. She cried to Yates, adding more salt to her dough. Cut the dough into 2 equal pieces, lightly sprinkle salt across top of only one of them. Yates eased her pain. He insisted she had no obligation to prepare for a return she thought impossible, but he shared her fear of retribution. He knew if they did not solve her predicament, they'd miss their final chance to bake together. In the end, instead of wallowing in the present, they worked together to shape the future. They twisted and entwined their doughs and baked them as one, and thus was born the plated loaf. Word quickly spread of this new delight. The king's decree on royal parchment was that it would be considered a delicacy. So roll and twist the pieces to entwine, take the twist, wrap around the inside of the Dutch oven, atop parchment from the outside inward to make a spiral. Bankrolled by the king, Flora and Yates spent their days baking together. They traveled for 45 years, then settled down for 15 more. Their souls were golden with no regrets. Lastly, bake for 45 minutes, remove the lid, observe until the crust is golden brown, which could take up to 15 minutes. Okay, let's see. But yeah, she was pregnant in 1978 or so. It's like one of these is 20. So she already had a bun in the oven. Oh, good point, good point. So, maybe not. Okay. James Zimmer. What's the other one? Robert? Garland. Not Zimmer. Okay. Nothing for James or Robert Garland. Periodicals? Okay, so nothing about either of them, at least in the Butler County Times. I also tried to search Business Watch just in case. But I'm like, is there like a cooking magazine? Okay. Garnishing the Truth, Kitchen Tales. We both looked up both of those. Okay. This story is about him and his wife who were already pregnant when they reunited and was worried about that whole deal. Which means the order kid is for sure Geese. We just need a yeah. I was trying to figure out how to get a picture of like their family or something. What was the lady's name who owned the land? She was also something Zimmer. Rochelle Zimmer. Rochelle and her husband Mark Zimmer have a few mentions in the Butler County Times. Both were local business owners. Rochelle owned Antonelli's, an Italian restaurant, and Mark owned a local bookstore called Bookmarks. Both closed in 1992. Rochelle. Bookmarks, most of them advertisements listing events. Nothing seems relevant to your current search, although Lauren Booktree did do a book signing in 1970. Talking about an obtrusive branch of the family tree. Oh, have you seen that? I don't know if you've fully seen this this family tree. Here's what we're doing this time. Here's possible infidelity number 1. Here's possible infidelity number 2. And here's possible infidelity number 3 with 5 different people. And then there's been a family tree update. This is quite. Yes, hi Medio! How's it going? How is Medioki? How's the rest of your singings? And yeah, feel free to lurk to avoid spoilies. But I hope the rest of your singing went well. It was very fun to hang out for the first like hour that I was able to attend. Medioki was so good. It was so much fun. Oh, yay! I'm glad you had such a good time. There were like so many. There was like 30 people there almost. Like, it was so cool. This family tree is really complicated. Yes, it is. Yeah, it really is. Because now we're doing like the extra complicated parts of it. Oh, Mia, I'm so glad you had such a good time. But yeah, feel free to lurk because I'm gonna get back into it, and I don't want you to be spoiled on anything. All right, let's see. We also need to figure out where this man was a menace to his secretaries. No joke. Okay, so this is this first bullet point. So this was Elizabeth's daughter. Met the caterer, I guess chef from a local restaurant called Antonelli's. They eloped quickly due to a pregnancy. Yeah, okay. Let's see. Guy's main positive contribution to the company involved expanding it. So we need to figure out more about this. He bribed at least one politician to open a factory in Brazil. Can I spider search factory in Brazil? Roottree, Brazil? Roottree Brazil, sometimes erroneously referred to as Roottree Brazil, is one of the companies created to manufacture and distribute Roottree candy. It was developed as part of Roottree Everywhere initiative near the beginning of 1979. Unlike some of the other Roottree Everywhere results, Roottree Brazil seemed to be a success. You do some rough translating and find a significant amount of information about it. Brazil was the only region in which caviar-flavored 5 pieces, released at the end of 1978, were a hit. Primary reason the factory still exists to this day is solely to create that flavor, which comes in its own standalone 5 pieces bag with Portuguese writing. A small town named Alvalagos near the municipality of São Bernardo do Campo became the location chosen by the Root Tree Candy Company after a newly elected local politician named Edson Suarez heard that they were planning a new factory and petitioned them in early 79. The factory was controversial as the locals did not want it there. Roottrees visited Brazil around Christmas time, managed to break ground on the project. Since then, however, it's been operating relatively smoothly except for 2 incidents. The first was Incendio do Bordo in 1982, and the second was an unsuccessful strike in 1995 that involved all of the factory workers being replaced. Oh no. Me being reminded of when your grandma worked at the Chancellor Hotel in Marietta and a woman she knew came in. Grandma asked her how she was doing. The woman answered, fit as a fiddle and ready to diddle. Oh no. Grandma went to the boss's office to ask about something. The door was locked. Oh no. The frosted glass still showed the blurs. Oh no. Oh yeah. I feel like Edson Suarez, it's probably like his wife that they had some dealings with, maybe. She walked by the secretary and she asked, Did you not see Mr. whatever his name was? And Grandma said, I'll come back later. Amazing. Okay, let's see. The factory was originally built and run according to paperwork at the time by a small company called Nova Corporação de Doces Brasil, which later transferred to New Brazil Candy Corporation. This company no longer exists. Not much information has ever existed about it, and the Root Trees now run Root Tree Brazil entirely. Alright, let's again start it. We're going to start at the top here. Okay, I don't know that the caviar part's important, but let's start here. Let's spider search this town. São Bernardo do Campo is a real place in Brazil. A game designer by the name of Jerry Johnston looked up cities in Brazil that had a lot of manufacturing so that he could place a fictional factory there. He did not want to offend any Brazilians with the tale he was writing that involved corporation and politics, so the small town name he made up, Alvalagos, where the factory was located, was invented by mixing 2 other regions, Interlagos and Alvarenga. So he made up the developer made up a fake town. Okay. Let's check out Edson Suarez. The worst part was the boss was married and his wife was out of town visiting her family with their kids. Oh, yikes. That's really not good. Edson Suarez was a Brazilian politician. You find a dissertation published by a college student as part of their PhD in history. It focuses on the rise of democracy in Brazil. It seems that up until 1988, Brazil was run by the military, and the politics during that time were often a hotbed for corruption and nepotism. The paper tells of a few politicians at the time, including Edson Suarez. Edson was a former mayor of Alvalagos, Brazil. Before politics, he was a manufacturer at an automotive manufacturing plant for a major American car company. He was put in charge of Alvalagos by the military government in 1973. As mayor, he used his manufacturing background and knowledge of American business to establish new factories, distribution plants, and other business ventures in the area. This had 2 side effects. First, that he became quite rich, and second, many locals were forcibly relocated. This did not make him a popular mayor, and what the paper speculates was a move to counteract this unpopularity. His wife Sonia was discreetly put in charge of a television station called Telerede. Telerede? He often used this connection to ensure supporters would appear on local television spouting his beliefs and emphasizing his political victories. He remained in office until 1988 when he was defeated in the first election after the military government was no longer in control. After this election loss, he quickly left the town behind. It is not known where he has gone, but the dissertation even speculates he likely fled to stay alive. Alright, let's check out this television station and his wife, Sonia Suarez. Yep. Telerede is a... you and I only save wavelength tonight, Pharaoh. Telerede is a former television station in Brazil, came into being in 1970 after a vacuum was created due to the removal of a different network at the hands of the Brazilian military dictatorship. Due to a lack of resources online, you don't have much to go about on who ran it and when. Sonia Suarez? Oh, Spider Search does return a page that lists the news anchor in Brazil named Flavio Suarez, who has a mother named Sonia. Flavio Suarez is a young Brazilian newscaster. Okay. With a bit of a cult following. Discourse surrounding him is, to put it in polite terms, lewd. There's a website about something called fan fiction that has a small section dedicated to him. It seems that women and some men of a wide variety of ages and writing skills tend to find him worthy of inclusion in their stories. You skim some of the tales there and learn that a common thread is that he's currently dating a supermodel named Ashley York. Many stories either seem to ignore her existence or get her out of the picture rather quickly. There are also more traditional fan sites that list some things about him, including his age, 18, his zodiac sign, Libra, his favorite fruit, grilled steak, and his mother's name, Sonia. Also, it seems that Flavio translates to golden-haired. One website with a publicity photo of Flavio seems to confirm this. Photo has been added to your evidence. That's probably why he's got, I'm assuming, lighter colored hair. And we'll come back for model Ashley York in a minute. Yeah, he's probably got lighter hair just because of if Guy Hudson is his father. To Natasha, kisses from Basile. Flavio. Alright. I'm feeling like maybe there was somebody in between and that the Suarezes are over here. Just because maybe these split up. But they only have one kid. But here, because we know the name of who her spouse was. We don't know the name of this person's spouse. And then also there's this spouse, but 2 kiddos. And so far we haven't heard anything about a second one. Is it Latin? A Latin name? Suarez. Suarez. And his name was Edson. If what's his name fled, yeah, they would be split up, yeah. We'll see if we can find a picture. What would be her profession? He's a newscaster? Let's put in Flavio. This game is so fun. News anchor? News anchor. Okay. Sonia Suarez. No, she was like a TV... something? Media mogul? Yeah, she ran the television studio, but I don't know what that would be. Flavio has been a name used for millennia in the regions that are now Italy, Spain, and Portugal. No, that makes sense, because he's Brazilian, so Portuguese. Actor, advertising, artist, author, maybe a share, driver, farmer. I'm gonna go with media mogul for now. I don't know what else would fit. And the problem is we don't have a picture of her. How do I find a picture of Sonia Suarez? Okay. Let's check out Ashley York. British supermodel, does ads for perfume, clothing, and jewelry. She's been subject of some controversy in the past few months, having been protested by PETA for wearing fur on the cover of some magazines. She's dating a young Brazilian news anchor named Flavio Suarez, which has brought them both somewhat into the limelight. Am I missing something here with her that I should look at? Oh, and I'll need to look up Sonia probably in... movie production news? Probably not, but... oh, no, these are just old Hollywood. You think Teen Blast would have Flavio? Ashley York, a British model, appeared on the cover of Teen Blast wearing a fur shawl 3 months ago. This appearance doesn't lead to any useful information, but another more recent appearance in the text only mentions she's dating Flavio Suarez. In it, a Teen Blast reporter asks how they met. I was in Rio for Carnival, and he was on one of the parade floats. I had no idea who he was, but I liked what I saw and told my people to invite him to the party I was going to. Felt pretty stupid once I realized that we were going to his party. Well, his mother's party. She runs a media empire down there called Transmissão Paulo. Thank you, Teen Blast. Transmissão Paulo is a... NASA. I don't speak any Portuguese. But he would be like the fourth to like confirm a thing, so maybe Flavio goes elsewhere. Oh, I don't know if we have... The problem is we don't have any pictures. We don't have any pictures of anybody. Oh. I see what you mean. Let me read the rest of this article. Yeah, Media Mogul's right. Oh, massive media group owned and run by a mysterious woman named Sonia Alves. I forgot. It has to be their birth names. Her name wouldn't be Sonia Suarez. And Joanna Fellows wouldn't be Joanna Fellows. And Christine Garland wouldn't be Christine Garland. It's all their birth names. Maybe he's later. Yeah, it could be that they have multiple... kiddos. Let's see. Sonia Alves. I've got a bunch of this wrong then. Let me just... Be 1981? I know the dates are really like messing me up here. I might absolutely have them in the wrong location. Because like... Well, no, the problem is this one starred. This one starred. And we know that he is the starred guy. But I don't... What is Joanna Fellows' maiden name? Oh, no. Alright, let me read this article and then we'll have to go back. Son of a gun. Transmissão Paulo is a massive media group owned and run by a mysterious woman named Sonia Alves. It seems that Sonia Alves is a common name in Brazil, so she's shortened her name to Nia to stand out in the public eye. According to a history page that focused on her company and vague, unsearchable details, Nia received significant inheritance in 1980 and invested it in many different manufacturing businesses in her hometown in Brazil. At the same time, she had just begun to learn the ins and outs of running a television network. She continued to work in television until 1988 when Brazil began its period of reform. She felt this was the perfect opportunity to launch her own media company using her investment and connections. Now, her company owns television networks, magazines, newspapers, and advertising firms. After doing some translating, the page about Nia lists her as unmarried. It does not go into any other relationship history. Searching for Nia online, you learn that she stays out of the spotlight. She doesn't even appear at shareholding meetings, so she sends a proxy. I'm gonna find a picture of this woman. She was... Nia Alves? Nia Alves owns many forms of media in Brazil under the umbrella of Transmissão Paulo. Business Watch has mentioned her by name a few times. The most relevant appearance seems to be an article about the struggles of American media companies to do business with their foreign counterparts due to a difference in laws. A few media groups and countries are discussed, including those in Africa and the Middle East. Transmissão Paulo in Brazil is also discussed. Due to a lack of freedom of speech laws in Brazil, there's been added bureaucracy in publishing certain stories on their channels. Nia is extremely private about her identity and supposedly once used her connections to have a reporter fired from a rival network and blacklisted. Wait, so Felix is right, but Flavio's probably later if his affairs were between 1975 to 81. That's true. Let's see. Journalists claim that this was this was to shut down a story he was doing about her personal life, included her marriage. So her marriage in 1973 was not of her own choice. His research claimed that she essentially had her husband forced upon her as a child bride at the age of 15. Child brides were not outlawed until 1990. It also claims that past appearances with her husband have been for show and they do not live together, and she resents her own parents for the arrangement. Final claim was that she must have made her money under the table through nefarious and possibly illegal means during Brazil's dictatorship, as his research uncovered that she could not possibly have earned enough to start a media company otherwise. After making the statement, the reporter went into hiding in fear of his safety. We had her marriage in 1973. So she got married in 1973. She got She was 15 at the time. Go back to Edison Suarez. Put in charge of the military company around 1973. This television station came into being in the 70s. He's a young Brazilian newscaster. He is 18. Currently 18? He's a newscaster? 18? Which I guess if his mom was a media mogul, then, you know, hey, that's probably... The problem is I'm seeing nothing about her having another child. I'm gonna leave it down here for now. Okay, the problem that I really have is that I need to know Joanna Fellows' maiden name. Which sucks. I don't remember that anywhere. His mother, Joanna, was Zach Morden's secretary when he retired. His parents divorced. He grew up with her until he was 16. Fun trivia, do you know what one of the most important qualities in a news anchor is? Probably reading speed. for their ability to, like, read what's in front of them. Maybe not comprehension, but maybe their diction? Yeah, we need Joanna Fellows' maiden name and... Oh, the ability to go long periods of time without blinking. Sometimes when I read things on here, and I read them somewhat quickly, I feel like I could be a news anchor. He grew up with her until he was 16, but one day his mother never came home from the movie rental store where she worked at the register. The next morning, they found her dead from an overdose in her car. She had stolen all the cash from her drawer and spent it on heroin. How good would that be? How good would I be on the news? Amazing. Okay, Well, the things he had to remember her by with a hairbrush, some photos, and a stuffed animal from her childhood. Okay, that's important. Born to Riley and Joanna Fellows. I wonder if we can search... Do we search Joanna Fellows in Butler County Times? Did we look up Riley Fellows? I don't think so. I don't remember. Let me try Joanna. Joe. Is it Fellows? With an E? Fellows? Yeah, with an E. I don't know if I spelled it right. Yeah, let me go back. Yeah, let me go back to this. Alright, nothing about either of them in the Butler County Times. I can't imagine there'd be something about them anywhere else. Nothing. Okay. Okay, this part is about 6 pieces. Okay. Calls him a grifter and a delinquent, etc., etc. Back to some of our older resources, like I don't maybe, but how? Like, I don't have any of that, do I? Zach Morden's secretary. Did his page get updated at all? Yeah, it says they'll contain new information. That's what I was thinking, like... was it Lauren Roottree? What was her book's name? Like, I can't click on her. Was her book somewhere? Let's see. Lauren's 2 diaries were probably the most useful resources overall, mentioning many of her relatives directly. But what was her... let me just look her up, I guess. The first way we did it. Okay, there's an older version of this page. Okay. In the week of Six Pieces' release, Laura Roottree, author of A Life Between Wars, was tracked down by a reporter as being in one of the most upscale memory care facilities in Pittsburgh. She was relocated back to Pennsylvania when she began suffering from Alzheimer's. There's a minor backlash towards the reporter that tracked Lauren down because they were caught standing on a ladder and holding their camera over the privacy wall to take a photo of Lauren and her son Clark sitting on a bench outside near a small pond on the premises. That's super lame. When revisiting Lauren's book, there's a single passage that focuses on potential affairs in her immediate family. You've added it to the rest of your evidence. Good job, Verb. I would not have thought to do that. Okay, so new entry. Entry entitled Cruelty from Lauren Roottree's diary, written in 1963, focuses on the relationship between her mother and father. While it only offered redundant information during your previous investigation, it mentions the subject of affairs and may be more useful this time around. Yeah, reporters are super awful. Yes, thank you. I am no stranger to true love. Jacob and I married at an age that most deem unfit for marriage, but he was also enlisting at an age most deem unfit for war. We had no choice. I knew in my heart that our marriage was one for the ages. He and I would still be together today if not for Okinawa. That was nearly 20 years ago, but there's an emptiness in my soul. I do not understand my contemporaries. So many girls I went to school with have taken multiple lovers. So many of my girlfriends' husbands have been unfaithful. If I am to remain true to the ghost of a man with no chance of physical reciprocation, no potential for a long conversation, how could it be so hard to love someone you can reach out and touch, someone you can joke with? I have not had to deal with such madness at home. My parents are a perfect match in the worst way. My mother's cruelty is a perfect fit for my father's general spite. In turn, Pop's status enables her incessant need to gloat and feel superior. I've grown up with her cruelty and disdain for others my entire life, even if my family remains unspared. They make fun of my grandpop and his family saying things, and his family sayings. Blood is thicker than syrups, but nothing's thicker than Elias. I need a drink after that one. Blood's thicker than syrup, but nothing's thicker than Elias. They mimic Grandma Gwyneth's lisp and see her kindness as a weakness. Elias, please remember them. Not even our family's maladies and religion go unmocked. Remember, God only put one eye in Miracle. Oh, because he only had one eye. Oh, that's so good. I can say without a doubt in my mind that my parents have never had eyes for anyone outside their marriage. They're too self-centered to look astray. Okay. So. Did I miss much? No, not quite. Yeah, this is a roast and a half, man. Serve this up for Christmas dinner. This is a roast. Oh, no. God only put one eye in Miracle. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out if this is like trying to clue us into the fact. I don't know. Like if it's telling us like her parents definitely didn't have an affair, so like we don't have to worry about it being them. Or if, like, and if this is pointing to, like, Elias and Gwyneth. So, like, did Gwyneth have an affair? Please remember Sam. So that would have been please remember Sam. Unfortunately, yeah, it doesn't give us anything about, like, past information. It just gives us the most, like, just this one excerpt. Yeah, both Elizabeths. Oh, that's true. I wonder if we could look up Elizabeth. Elizabeth would have been Christine's mom, right? I don't even know what to look up. Yeah, we can look up Guy Hudson. This page hasn't been updated for about at least 8 months and may now be irrelevant. Okay, I feel like that's its way of saying, like, there's nothing here in this game that's gonna help you out. Let's see. As we've already looked up this page because it talks about his parties. And it talked about maybe the car crash was his fault. And yeah. Okay. News time. Felix Fellows. I'm trying to find out more information about him and his mom. And we never found this, right? We never found an article for this. Maybe it is nothing, but... I think we'd already seen this page too. Because this was about Dirt Hey Devil and Dirt Poor that we'd looked up. Butler County Times, yeah. We can do that. Nothing. 5 P's? Yeah, 5 P's. Five P's is popular and attractive enough that even though his music is not targeted towards teen girls, they seem to be paying attention anyways. Well, he hasn't done any interviews with the magazines. They've listed him amongst the hunky hotties for the past few months, with small bios that tell you about various facts about him. That includes his real name, David, his birthday, February 9, 1977, and his star sign, Aquarius, and where he grew up, Foster Care in Portland. Letter to the editor also claims that it's not possible that he was born in 1977, as he claimed on a song called 17 Magazine that he turned 17 in 92. The editor responds to the statement that they reached out to his agent to ask about the song and were told it wasn't performed by 5 Ps and that they shouldn't print rumors. 17 Magazine, sometimes referred to as 17 Magazine. Let me finish chewing real quick. Is the title of an unreleased and controversial song by Dirty Davy. Mentions of it mentions of it on a few sites, claiming that it was on the first release of his mixtape but was removed. Hang on. There. Oh no, we haven't looked up Anonymous. I haven't even gotten half of those things on that list of stuff to look up. Okay. Nope. Okay. There's mentions of it on a few sites, claiming that it was on the first release of his first mixtape but was removed. There's no audio or visual evidence of it existing. There are independent accounts from people who have claimed to have heard it, and they do generally line up. According to their recollection, it was about many different loosely connected occurrences of the number 17, mostly violent. They're getting so rowdy, these jazz players. The intro states that it was written on Davies' 17th birthday and involved a fictional but glorified series of murders at a fashion show for a teenage magazine with a similar name to the song title. The person doing the violence was apparently trying to beat Dahmer's high score. Jeffrey Dahmer had pleaded guilty to killing 16 people in 92. Due to major acts of gun violence in schools earlier this year and the subsequent backlash against violent music and video games, it is generally considered in very poor taste to bring it up. Most of the people that enjoy mentioning it online are either trolls trying to shock people or come from the morbidly curious corners of the internet. Okay. I'm curious about, like, foster care in Portland. Hunky hotties. Huh. That's so weird. Because it's not telling me that this isn't important. Okay, that's the one thing I have not been paying attention to, is how old he is. I have not been paying attention to that at all. If he turned 72 and it's 1999 now, how old is he and what year was he born in? So, if he was 17 in 92 and it's 99 now, and that's an additional, what, 7 years, so he'd be 24 now? And if he was born there, and he was 17 at the time, he would have been born in 1975. If that is correct. But there's a lot of history of, there's a lot of, like, debate about it. I think it's relevant because of how old he is and when the affair supposedly happened. True, but I know it's the first affair because he is the only starred person in this entire tree. So it has to be this one. Like, if this one can't move. So we can use it, I guess, as like a jumping off point. But if he was born in 1975, that's the first one on here. And then it goes to 1982. So he doesn't move. We just need to find her maiden name. That's killing me. And the thing is, like, I don't even know if she'd show up in the Butler County Times because I don't even know if they're from Butler County. She's from Portland, apparently, or at least was in Portland. They moved to Portland after the affair, right? His mother, well, I guess maybe because she worked there, maybe she is from Butler County. But Joanna was Zach Morden's secretary when he retired. Nikki Hudson's secretary for only 1 or 2 weeks after that before she quit. His parents divorced when he was 4 after his father learned of the affair. Felix and his mother then moved to Portland because she was afraid for her and her son's life. I know, that's the thing. Do I keep moving? Am I somehow gonna like loop back around? Or have I like missed something? Like... not history. Inspiration. Portland Orphanage, Portland Foster Care, Portland Movie Store, Portland Movie Rental, Movie Rental Store. Nothing. That's really holding me back. I need to take out the last names here. Maybe we can try Christine Garland. She was... Ugh, I feel like now I've already forgotten. Christine Garland. She and her husband Steve, who was a chef in Anthony, met years ago when she delivered produce from her mother's farm. She's the secretary when went back to delivering produce on the weekends. I have her as a secretary here. So... yeah, Christine Garland can't be her maiden name. I just don't know, because we know her husband's name is Steve Garland. The problem is I don't know. One of Sam's farm supervisors was named Elizabeth. Elizabeth had a daughter who Sam never met, but who worked as... How does she not know Elizabeth's last name? Unless Elizabeth isn't even her real name, who knows? Worked as one of Guy's secretaries. Okay, this page hasn't been... I'm just gonna search him in everything. Okay, so this page hasn't been updated for at least 8 months and may now be irrelevant. Okay. Guy's uncle, current President Zachariah. Traveling the world with his wife, Zach. Okay. Yeah, the problem is, like, the information has to be out there somewhere, right? It just kind of sucks to not be able to find it. Like, yes, I can use the game mechanics and... yeah. The problem is I feel like I'm gonna be, like, missing something. And there's so many last names. Alright. Apparently her last name is Robertson. Oh yeah! And we do have Edson Suarez correct and Flavio Suarez correct, so we know they're in the correct location. Oh, it's Sam again.
Reached out to you? Well, let me give you a short history lesson about the last few months of my life.
Go for it.
3 different people contacted
I'm gonna
me,
eat some pizza
claiming
while
that
you do.
somewhere in their history, they might be Roottrees. First, that young man, the rapper. I ignored that one. He seemed dubious. But then I saw the news. I felt terrible. So I began helping the others. Because my doubts with Felix were so misfounded, I ended up putting too much faith in the second person that approached me. I went to the media prematurely. I admit my mistake there. But the third person who contacted me also had a credible case. Before I could help, the company got to them somehow. The fact that the family silenced them doesn't seem to fill me with hope when it comes to Clark's intentions. But you're making progress based on the leads he gave you. It's really hard for me to get a read on him. I'll let you handle it. I've sent you the case I've been working on, and some company records I managed to track down.
Interesting.
The records are quite dense, but hopefully they're useful. Good luck.
Thank you. Okay. So Joanna Robertson. Her name doesn't come out anywhere. Robertson. I can't imagine that's how they want you to find that out. There's no way. Like, what did I miss? Yeah, we have to be able to find it somewhere, but where? I agree with you, it has to be somewhere. Oh, what about, Elizabeth? Right, because... No, this isn't Elizabeth's daughter. This isn't Elizabeth's daughter, that's Christine. But he wouldn't... Would he be David Robertson? Like, I feel... I mean, his... According to the chart, his birth name is David Fellows. Heroin in Portland. Portland murder. That's so much stuff. I'm still just stuck on how we were supposed to... Yeah, he performed under so many different stage names, it's true. Did I miss it somewhere? I, like, truly have no idea. Oh, dang. I thought maybe we were missing, like, a Portland newspaper. Alright. And that's the thing, right? That's the thing, is that there's so much other stuff. He's never rapped without a moniker, like a name, and I don't know. I'm not sure how we would have found that out. Something in Pixma? No, these are just our previous. We haven't received any other new photos. It's for our image editing, yeah. This is the part that like drives me crazy though, because I'm like, what did I miss? How did I miss something? Like the only part that I'm trying to figure out is like, how can I find this article on this website maybe? Like, did I miss something there? But I like searched this and nothing new came up. But yeah, the review mentions his real name is David. The author rues the fact that the rebranding was blatant marketing so at the expense of his mother's tragic past. The lyrics? Wait, lyrics of... This is his most recent album, Root of All Evil. All Your Problems was the first and only single released. Oh, I wonder if it is in there. See anything. Can't like flip it over or anything. Yeah, I was gonna say, we should probably look at our new info. Company records, 1975. You were given some partial staff records to cross-reference by Sam Madsen. His records are based on old tax mailing information and only detail the employees that work directly for Roottree or in their corporate office. We didn't even finish the old information? What old information? Like, you want to keep looking at, like, Caroline Garland? Or Christine Garland? Oh, yeah, we never even looked up Anonymous. Oh, that's true. There's so much stuff to look at. Okay, let's just try the next thing down. Let's just try the Roottree Rift. 3 press releases from the Roottree Candy Company after the release of 6 pieces were referred to as the Roottree Rift due to clear conflicts between them. Yeah, maybe all the information is in here somewhere. The first was fairly standard. It stated there was no president of the Roottree Company, but that the entire family was made aware of the release of the book and they would be meeting as soon as possible. Only then could they verify the legitimacy of the claims it raised and decide next steps. The second release was emailed to business newspapers 3 hours later and announced that after a vote, Ron Roottree would be taking over temporarily as interim president. Also went on to state that Ron was aware of the book, had verified claims within, and would be looking to compensating Mrs. Madsen and her family immediately. It also stated that the company lawyers would be taking immediate steps with the family to revisit the Clanson Trust terms to make sure nothing like this could happen again. It was quickly clear to business reporters and analysts that the time between the 2 press releases would not have been logistically sufficient to gather the majority of the family, even using conference calls. This was reported on many news channels, and a third, much shorter press release came the next day. He claimed that a draft of the announcement was made prematurely, and that Clark Rafferty LaRue and Ron Roottree would be taking over the company's first joint presidents. It also stated that any compensation planned would be on a stringent verification process. Yeah, they should have just stuck with the first one. They probably, like, stuck with the first one, and then I wonder if, like, Ron or something put out, like, a second one. And then they had to scramble and put together a third one. Okay, so I guess... So next on our list of things is Clark Rafferty LaRue, and I feel like this joins up with that pretty well. So let's go ahead and look at this. There's an older version, which is probably the previous one that we had seen when we looked up Clark Rafferty before. Clark Rafferty LaRue... Yeah, somebody definitely jumped the gun. Clark Rafferty LaRue is the new president of the Roottree Corporation. This does not include Root, which appears to have its own new leadership. Okay. I don't know. Highlight it just in case. In early March of '99, about 5 months ago, it was announced that both Clark Rafferty LaRue and Ron Roottree would be taking over for what was essentially described as a transitional period in the aftermath of Six Pieces. But 2 weeks later, the company released a press statement that thanked Ron for his work, but announced that Clark is the new permanent president. Most of the information about Clark you knew already. Many descriptions of him tend to focus on his his advertising career. His mother was Lauren Roottree. Few seem to touch on his complex and volatile marital history. Since taking over, Clark has tried to remain out of the spotlight, but did have one notable foray into the public eye. He gained a lot of support when his first move was a statement in favor of accepting Sam and her family into the trust. This also serves as an announcement that the Clancy Trust would no longer be handled by anyone in the family, since due to their financial motivation, none of them could ever be impartial. Okay. Yeah, Ron for sure pulled some kind of nonsense. Okay. Now let's check him out in Business Watch. Clark Rafferty LaRue, as well as Ruby Spratt and her company Ruby Legal Enterprises, were featured in Business Watch after the company took over as keepers of the Clancy Trust. There's an article about that process. There's an article about that process that interviews both Clark and Ruby. It seems that Ruby actually approached the Roottrees sometime in late March after the Roottree Rift, but well before Roottreemania. An accomplished but relatively low-profile lawyer, she offered to work for very little money, so long as she could be a public face to build her reputation. The family quickly jumped on this chance, as many family members often attempt to spend as little as possible to keep their shares of the Clancy Trust as high as possible. Yeah, I agree with Clark. This was a smart move. And the fact that he's just tried to, stay out of the spotlight, probably all very smart. In looking over the Clancy Trust more carefully than anyone had in years, Ruby came to the conclusion that Clancy Edward Roottree's implementation was not legally sound, and that there would be constant legal challenges without some modifications. The family decided to put her in charge of the trust, both legally and as a public face, to prevent further issues. Ruby Legal Enterprises has been described as a mix between a law firm and a PR firm. Her first move, as a sort of trial run before she was even hired permanently, was to help them draft a public statement accepting Sam into the family and declaring that they'd begin to address the Clancy Trust. This went quite well, and they officially hired her in early April. Ruby Legal is now in charge of many financial aspects of the company, including verifying any claims to the trust and organizing the various charitable causes such as scholarships that have been set up in the name of the deceased. I don't know, that sounds important to me. Alright, maybe let's try Ruby Spratt and then we'll try Ruby Legal Enterprises. Ruby Spratt, like her legal company, is relatively elusive. The most complete source of information you can find from before her time with the Rootttrees is from the website for a magazine owned by a major airline. What? She was the subject of one article from a recurring series about modern-day success stories. Magazine owned by an airline? Okay, pause on this. Airline magazine? What? See, I feel like I'm going to be missing periodicals to search. She's the subject of one article from a recurring series about modern-day success stories. Ruby grew up in foster care, but excelled at school and earned a scholarship to study at Mid-Eastern University. There, she graduated at the top of her legal class and was quickly hired as a lawyer for a prominent firm. There are a few high-profile corporate-involved cases she was a part of. One was as a legal consultant for a class-action lawsuit against a manufacturer of steering wheel covers. Another was to help a local gas station chain in her hometown of Portland with the rollout of a promotion that allowed gas station customers the ability to bet on the price of gas. Portland? The blurb ends by calling her new firm a double threat. Her company's services are a cross between traditional lawyer and PR manager. I need like a Portland newspaper or something. Mideastern University is a notable private college that advertises itself as midway between Maine and Miami. Mascot is the Spectres, though they are not known for their sports programs as much as their education. Legal and language departments are their pride and joy, though they have fairly extensive computer science and robotics programs. Along with other prestigious schools that haven't quite reached the notoriety of Ivy League schools, some refer to it as a Little Ivy. The college has embraced this, calling their newspaper the Herald, which is a combination of Hetera, the scientific name for Ivy, and Herald. Yeah, if she grew up in the same foster care system that 5Ps did, I agree. That could be interesting. Their website boasts that they have a historical technology museum on campus that includes a still functioning computer from the 1960s that takes up a full room. They also have a printing press that they use to print one special year-end issue of the Herald each year. Give me that Herald. The Herald is a school newspaper of Mideastern University. It appears to be available in your periodical archive. After a bit of research, you discover... Okay. Give me Ruby Spratt. Ruby Spratt graduated top of her class from Mideastern's Legal College. Her valedictorian speech was somewhat controversial at the time, as it was quite serious with a heavy focus on wealth inequality. This didn't go over well with the predominantly middle to upper class audience in attendance. The editor of the Herald at the time said Ruby, unsatisfied by simply earning her place at Mideastern with a full scholarship, went on to earn a captive audience of her peers with a perfect GPA. It felt like the ideal occasion for a celebration of an undoubtedly incredible individual. However, by the end of her speech, there were many in the audience that wished that neither of those events had ever transpired. It was a passionate attempt to use her soapbox to proselytize her fellow students and their parents into the religion of poverty, but unfortunately, judging by the silence, they remained unconverted. What else would we need to look up there? In that... Oh, this is killing me. There's an older version of this page on the Time Travel Archive. Okay. Many websites and news articles eulogize Carl Roottree along with his daughters and his wife Brenda. As far as you can tell, Carl and Brenda never had any marital issues. Okay. Me hearing the word scholarship instantly bringing back images of warnings at Waverly Academy. You do come across an article about Kristen Valdez, who claims to have been Carl's high school sweetheart before Brenda. She's not making any claim about having a child with him. She just appeared to be paid to talk about his early life. Most of it's boring. She says that they met when he was sent to a private school near her hometown and broke up when he graduated and moved back to Butler County. Okay. Show me the older page. Died in the recent plane crash. I was trying to see if they mentioned an airline name. So, wait, so we have at least another periodical, right? With that one thing. So we have that periodical, but it's only specific to the university that she went to. Wawa. I think technically the acronym for Warnings at Waverly Academy is WAV. It's just WAVE. WAV. Or at least that's the abbreviation that people will use. I mean, like, what else would be at this thing? I mean, this college wasn't even in Portland. It was somewhere between Maine and Miami or something. Like, it's a generic East Coast university, Mideastern. Like, I don't know how that would link us to anything else. Try Ruby Legal Enterprises. It might be the same thing, but the name of the law firm has been hired by the Roottrees Candy Company. The company is named after its head lawyer, Ruby Spratt. Can't find much about the company from before this year, but all the articles tell the same tale. After the fiasco of 6 Pieces, blah 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 blah, they hired outside counsel. They were recently in the news due to a high-profile lawsuit they raised against Cicely Sanchez. I wish a stupid autocorrect would take a hike. It's been plaguing me for 3 days now. Oh no. Who's Cicely Sanchez? Cicely Sanchez is an author best known for Portrait of a Changed Man, released in 1979. Yes, we will look up all of these. Her follow-up Foreign Gospel did not perform as well critically, but still sold quite respectably. She's now written a few more books since then, including a biography of Van Gogh, but her first two are claimed to fame. According to a site about authors, Cicely is known for her nonfiction with a focus on exploring darkness in the human psyche. Recently, Cicely appeared in a magazine called Picotee. Magazine! Oh. Category flower with an outline. Oh. Aha! Picotee magazine. It's a publication that, as far as you can tell, has no consistent theme. It tends to contain tabloid-esque articles that appear to a wider variety of audiences. Okay, this is like our National Enquirer. Appears in many grocery stores near the checkout line. Unlike traditional tabloids, it doesn't typically feature celebrities on the cover. Instead, it tends to latch on and create sensationalist headlines about whatever subject appears to be popular at any given time. In recent years, it has been included Beanie Babies, Magic Eye Images, and even Red Bull. It has often come under fire for printing fiction along with facts. Picotee gets around this by stating in every issue that all of his articles are all the hearsay that's fit to print, so we need to be careful looking at stuff from this magazine because it may not be true. At one point, Picotee ran an article about Cicely Sanchez, an author. She claims to have an unread book about Guy Hudson, so she's probably like a potential affair partner. The article was not even the main focus of the issue, yet the magazine was legally threatened by the Roottrees Corporation. That particular issue, Big Sass Seabass, the Big Sass Seabass issue was pulled from shelves. It has now become a collector's item, especially amongst conspiracy theorists attempting to figure out what the Roottree company was hiding. You find a recently finished online auction that listed a copy at over $1,000, though nobody bid. Dude, search periodicals. Big Sass Seabass. And an issue that focused on a talking toy fish and the demonic messages that it supposedly said as the batteries ran low. Oh, I think that's like a true story too. Oh no, the coughs are killing you. Oh, I'm sorry, that sucks. It sucks when you're sick and like you cough and then your whole chest hurts and your throat hurts and your head hurts. It sucks. The book's subject was Guy Hudson, and the issue was said to contain pictures that Cicely did not have the rights to publish. Because of the pictures, the issue was pulled from store shelves, making it the subject of some conspiracies and an instant collector's item. Due to the recall, the version found in these archives is incomplete. I wonder if we can search like an online auction website, like eBay, but it's probably like B-Bay or something in this game. Okay. Canceled book by Cicely Sanchez. Highlight that. We'll need to remember that. Okay, go back to the page about her. Okay. The magazine, Cicely herself, were immediately issued a cease and desist due to its inclusion of pictures she never had the rights to publish. Issue was pulled from store shelves, making it an instant collector's item. Okay. So real quick, let's look up the books by her. Cicely Sanchez? Out of print. This is 1979. Book's description has this to say: what if everything you stand for, everything you know to be true today, could disappear in an instant? All of your politics, relationships gone in the blink of an eye. Would you still be you? Cicely Sanchez tells this powerful, true story about a man who woke up after being saved from drowning in his backyard pool, became an entirely different person. Included are interviews from those that knew him best before, as well as a one-on-one chat that paints an entirely different picture. You won't be able to put it down without wondering, what if that were me? That's kind of interesting. And then let's grab Foreign Gospel. This tells the tale of a man from the Catholic Church who claims he was told by God that he should travel to Thailand and begin to preach, specifically with the goal to convert 10,000 people. He returned to the United States after just over 2 years, claiming to have succeeded. This book tells his version of the story, but the author, Cicely Sanchez, also traveled to Thailand to investigate these claims and talk with some of the so-called converted. I wonder if we can also just Google search, spider search these. Okay. ha. Thank you. Okay. Alright. So let's see what information that got us. Picotee. The demonic Basilbub? Could this popular gift be filling homes with satanic messages? Exclusive. Cicely Sanchez reveals Roottree's secrets, and this utensil will help you lose up to 50 pounds. This was the article of Picotee magazine that contained an article. This is a lot of intuition points. It contained an article about Cicely Sanchez, story concerning an unreleased book she had written about Guy Hudson. It seems that it used photos of Guy that Cicely did not own the rights to publish. Unfortunately, the magazine was issued a cease and desist by Roottree lawyers. The magazine was pulled from shelves, and the version you found in your periodical search had the relevant pages removed, rendering this magazine useless unless you want to read about a potentially demonic fish story. We need to figure out how to get a copy of this magazine. Auction website. This is the worst search engine. Okay. Cicely Sanchez lawsuit, maybe? If we look it up in our library? If we look what up in the library? So this is an updated section. I'm just gonna read this real quick. Root website, small memorial section of the deceased members of the family, contains no new information. Oh, contains no new information. Most recent catalog, spring 99, had an entirely black cover with no text. On the leadership page, you learn that it's currently managed by a designer who was apparently Brenda White's second in command. You don't recognize her name, and she seems unrelated to your search. Here we go. There's also a scholarship page. On it, you find information about the Roottrees Sisters Fashion Scholarship. It's awarded to 3 underprivileged high school girls each year who wish to pursue a career in fashion. Apparently, it also gives them an opportunity to show off their designs on professional models on a real runway. According to the site, the fund was created directly from the shares that would have contributed to the inheritance of the Roottree sisters if they were still alive. Like other aspects of the Clanson Trust, it's now managed by Ruby Legal Enterprises. So wait, what did you want me to look up in the library, Fairy Orb? In the meantime, I'm gonna look this up in the... I don't remember. Because I tried looking up both of Cicely Sanchez's books in the library. And I read both of their things. Oh, it's Cicely Sanchez. That's not what I wanted. I wanted to copy this. Really? Nothing in there? I also forgot that the Roottrees sisters died. Yeah, they died in the plane crash. Okay. It's weird that there's nothing about their scholarship, their fashion scholarship. Oh, if I searched it on here, it would have taken me also to the Root website. Okay. But 3 underprivileged high school girls each year who wish to pursue a career in fashion. We've been playing this for 2.5 hours, and we've gotten 4 people so far. Okay, okay, so we were on Clark Rafferty LaRue. It's so hard not to get, like, sidetracked. Carl Rafferty LaRue. Okay, this is where we were. Then we did Ruby Legal Enterprises, and then went down that way. Okay, so, alright. Was there anything else on here? Let's look up Ron Roottree for a bit. Ron was announced as president of the Roottree during the Roottree Rift. Next press statement immediately reversed the announcement. Instead, say they both would take over, then he was dropped from the title entirely. There are hundreds of results about this development. Most articles are retelling basic details. Some veer into heavy speculation based on an article about Ron in Business Watch. Okay, I'll look that up next. Ron has also done some interviews saying that the truth of what went on behind the scenes is not something he wishes to discuss. Instead, he hopes to release a movie about it someday. Oh, 3 weeks ago, Ron's mother, Gwen, died in Paris, France. He and his brother Robbie have seemingly made amends. That's good, but also this whole thing is sad. Oh no. Okay, Business Watch ran an article about 2 months after the Root Tree Rift about what really happened with the Root Tree. The article mentions that nobody from Root Tree that they reached out to was willing to go on the record. Instead, timeline of events is constructed from public record, accidental leaks, and a source on the inside. The only parts that are new to you here are the most vague parts, the ones supposedly confirmed by their anonymous source. The timeline says that the family actually held a preliminary vote after Carl Roottree died, but before the release of 6 Pieces, and decided that they wanted Ron Roottree to take over because of his experience running RR Productions, and because he was a well-known, well-respected Roottree. But Ron seemed way too eager and personally motivated. They were worried he would gut the Clancy Trust, to remove Robbie. That's what he initially wanted to do. That's why they had that lawsuit. The family was notoriously unwilling to do anything that could risk their wealth. They stalled, and Ron became frustrated with the delay. When 6 Pieces came out, he saw his chance to force action while the family was in the limelight and released the press statement himself, there it is, in an attempt to get the ball rolling faster. And this caused chaos within the family. They tried to save face by allowing Ron to take over as co-president with Clark, but according to Business Watch's source, Ron was impossible to deal with. He seemed like he was unwilling to protect the Clancy Trust, and they eventually let him go. After that, the role passed solely to Clark, who no one was excited about, but seemed like the safest choice. Ugh. That all sucks. Okay. I wonder if we can look up Gwen Roottree. She died in Paris, France about 3 weeks ago. After leaving Hollywood, she made no effort to stay in the limelight. Most obituaries tend to focus on her largest role, Guys Like Us. Not much is known about her death except that it was announced that she died peacefully in her sleep while being treated for a sudden severe case of pneumonia. Before that, she had been in relatively good health according to her friends and family in Paris. She was 67. I wonder if there would be anything about her in, like, Silver Screen Magazine or Starlet or anything. Yeah, it's just all the... This is the same as the old article. Okay. So we looked up Clark Rafferty and Ron Roottree. Okay. I wonder if I Google the Clancy Trust. I say Google. Spider search. Clancy Trust, okay. As a recap, they earn their inheritance directly from the profits of the company, as well as the sister clothing company Root, which means that nearly every Root Tree can potentially have a say in the company's high-level operations, causes the family to be slow to approve any major expenditures. Okay, after the release of 6 Pieces by Sam Madsen, Clancy's Trust came under heavy scrutiny. Sam, her children, and her grandchildren should have all been covered under the trust according to the wording revealed during an internal family conflict between Ron and Robbie Roottree. It seems that those who wrote the trust, Clancy Edward Roottree at the direction of Elias Roottree, purposefully deceived the rest of the family about the exact details of how it worked in an attempt to keep Sam and her father Edward Clancy, his own twin brother, in comparative poverty. Because the rest of the family made money hand over fist, they had very little motivation to question their understanding. Sam's book revealed this to the public, and it did not go over well. Clark Rafferty the Root took over the company, and his most celebrated move was his first official one. He ensured Sam's family would get their share. To help facilitate this, the inheritance aspect of the trust is now under the control of a third party, Ruby Legal Enterprises. This ensures the financial motivations of the Roottree family members will not interfere with the investigations into potential new Roottrees. According to Clark's letter, however, some family members are still doing their best to slow the investigation by refusing to answer questions. I don't know if this got me anywhere necessarily. But I guess we know at least Sam is getting her portion. Alright. I feel like we've looked up a lot about Clark. Let's try... I want to try Anonymom. I'm fascinated by Anonymom. Anonymom. Anonymom was the second high-profile case. Oh, actually, I wonder if we should look up... Oh, wait. It was a second high-profile case after Felix Fellows. Oh, second high-profile case. Doesn't mean the second case overall. Yeah, we're getting Sam's portion. That was the agreement for all the work, okay? Instead of claiming herself to be a Roottree, however, she claimed she'd slept with Guy Hudson and that her daughter was a Roottree. This accusation came during the height of Roottree-mania, began with a brief TV interview. She appeared in the shadows with a disguised voice and promoted an article about herself in News Time. In the okay, we need to look up that article in News Time. In the TV interview and the article, she referred to her daughter as Jane Doe Roottree. The name Anonymom was not self-inflicted. It seemed to spring up organically because nobody knew how else to refer to her. Dude, finding this lady's name, I feel like it's going to be impossible. The day after the News Time article, Sam Madsen publicly supported Anonymom. Oh, this is the one where she was like, I supported this lady, and I shouldn't have. Okay, Sam Madsen publicly supported Anonymom due to some parts of the story she found particularly credible. With the momentum from Sam's endorsement, Anonymom went on a media blitz. Ultimately, this backfired. As more details came out, people became skeptical of her story due to the extreme similarity. Yeah, she's a liar, so we don't need to know her name. True. Extreme similarity to 5Ps. Her accusation even included many of the same details as his mother's story. This included her job, secretary, and the time period, late 70s. Well, now, hang on. No, this Christine, who was a secretary, had 2 boys. After fumbling 5P's story so publicly, they were more prepared to handle all claims of trust-related cases. Within a week, DNA proved that her daughter could not be related to the Roottrees. It's announced at a joint press conference with lawyers representing both Anonymom and the Roottrees. Each party ensured their respective clients provided accurate samples. Immediately after the negative test results were released, many of those who had been skeptical felt vindicated. Others who'd built up hope that history could repeat itself after 5Ps felt duped. Many people suspected the whole affair had been a hoax to gain fame and money. Many demanded that Anonymom be held accountable, and some people even began to attempt to track down her true identity. Roottree Company felt pressure to put out a second statement and try and curb some of the backlash, even going so far as to say that though it was scientifically proven that Jane Doe Roottree is not a Roottree, doesn't mean that her mother and Guy Hudson were not involved in an affair. She had and that's the thing. They may be on this tree even though it's not a real even though she's not actually a relative, they may still be on this tree as possible infidelities. We don't know that everyone is specifically related. Or, yeah. Okay. Though scientifically proven that Jane Doe Roottree is not... Okay, has been verified their stories about Guy Hudson were not exaggerations. Please leave their family alone. Many people claim this high-profile anti-climax and public backlash was the beginning of the end for Roottree-mania, since so much of the fun was the shared fascination about secret Roottrees. Others think that, like any fad, it just ran its course naturally. Regardless, this was the final notable event related to the release of 6 pieces, and things soon went back to normal. No, didn't it say she's not on the tree? I don't remember. I don't remember. Oh, hang on. You got me there. You got me there. She's not on the tree. Did it say that? Alright, she's already been eliminated as a potential. So why is she on our list of things to look up? Like, now I'm just kind of curious, you know? News Time. See, and we're getting a picture of her. Anonymous woman appeared on the cover of News Time holding a picture of her daughter, Jane Doe Roottree. First and only mention of the phrase Anonymom in News Time came the first week after when they apologized for featuring her in the first place. Summary of the initial cover article has been added to your evidence. Why is it in my evidence? I mean, I guess it's... I don't know. Here we go again. Determined through a DNA test she's not a Roottree. This article, blah, 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 does not... Okay. She appeared on the... Okay. Oh, in an homage to the previous cover, she holds a photo of her daughter, but she wanted both photos obscured. anonymous woman claimed to have had an affair with Guy Hudson and she was working as secretary. She and another woman were hired at the same time during a transition period while many of the secretaries that had worked under Zach Morton were already gone. She says that she and the other woman were both underqualified as neither had typewriter experience. Wait. She and another woman were hired at the same time during the transition period while many of the secretaries that had worked under Zach Morton were already gone. So maybe she worked with Elizabeth? Christine's mom? According to the other staff members interviewed, Guy had his own requirements for hiring women. Like to throw lavish parties, and the longer he was present, the more excuses he found. The anonymous woman posits that these parties mostly seem like an excuse to have after parties at Guy's home, featuring more alcohol and other substances. She claims she slept with him at one of these after parties. She confronted Guy when she found out she was pregnant. Guy didn't seem fazed and they came to an arrangement. He paid her a significant amount of hush money on a recurring basis under the table. She used it to move away to Portland? Or she worked with Joanna, true. But Joanna had worked for Zach. And she said, oh, well, it's true, I guess. She said many of the secretaries that had worked under Zach were already gone. And this was because Joanna only worked there for a week or two after Guy became president. So maybe she was hired after Joanna left? I don't know, it's hard to tell. When Guy died, money stopped coming. She assumed things had run their course. She went back to work at the department store and hoped that nobody would ever look too closely at how she paid for her house. She told everyone that her daughter's father walked out one day and never came back. She claimed that after seeing the fantastic article in News Times, she realized that she wasn't the only one this happened to. While she's worked at the Roottrees company... While she never worked at the Roottrees company at the same time as Five Pieces' mother, Joanna, their stories seemed eerily similar, and she knew Felix was telling the truth right away. Yeah, I think maybe she worked with Christine's mom, Elizabeth. Right? Because Elizabeth... Well, no, Elizabeth worked on the farm. Christine was the secretary. So maybe she worked with Christine, you're right. Article presented no tangible evidence of the anonymous woman's time at Roottree, and all the payments were allegedly made in cash. Oh, this also doesn't have any intuition points, so this isn't going to lead me anywhere, so I'm just reading this for fun, apparently. Aha! Their reporters were able to reach out to the other woman hired at the same time, who also remained anonymous. They successfully fact-checked the timeline of both women and confirmed the existence of the infamous after-party. Five Pieces' case was strengthened, and this news story was subsequently published. So she worked with Christine. And then we gotta look up Roottree-mania. Roottree-mania. This is so much reading. Okay. Roottree-mania immediately followed the announcement of the rapper. Okay. Popular culture seemed to focus on the Roottree family and Five Piece for a few weeks before everything felt oversaturated and we all moved on. Because of the Five Piece saga, underlying through line to how pop culture treated Roottree-mania was an excuse for everyday people to now claim they were also Roottrees. Daytime talk shows had an I'm a Secret Roottree episodes. Late night hosts and guests made jokes about other lost members of the family. There's a widely shared website where you could fill in your own name to find out if you were a Roottree. When you submitted your name, it simply said no, with the image of Clark Rafferty LaRue giving you the finger. Okay, hear me out. Guy held swinger parties, and while Joanna and Christine were unwilling to switch partners, Anonymom was. And she got pregnant at one of the parties and assumed it was Guy's. Yeah, I wonder if, like, if she was, like, at the party and she, like, got pregnant or something. I don't know. Like, I'm guessing that, yeah, something happened at one of the parties and she got pregnant, but it was not Guy's daughter. Roottree-mania only lasted a few weeks, just long enough for Six Piece to re-enter the charts to trigger new printings of other Roottree-related media. This included Lauren's diaries, VHS releases of Gwen's old movies, as well as countless other unauthorized biographies, which mostly seemed an attempt to capitalize on the Roottree sisters, Carl and Brenda. Re-releases were too late to successfully capitalize on or extend the craze. As a result, most of them were failures, and countless novelty shirts had variations of I'm a Secret Roottree became immediately unfashionable. That's funny, because that's like the not loading screen, but that's the menu screen on the front page. Where does this get me? What a way to end up pregnant. Yeah, especially if you get drunk, like, whoops, I don't know who your daddy is. But I mean, she at least got money from Guy, so that's something. Like, she can get nothing out of it. I don't know. And she probably had, like, a legitimate thing. Like, she probably didn't know. Maybe she really did assume it was Guy's. He gave her a bunch of money for it, and so she's like, hey, I think my story sounds very, very similar to everybody else's story. I don't even know. Okay. Okay, one of Sam's farm supervisors is named Elizabeth. Elizabeth had a daughter, but who worked as one of Guy's secretaries. This is Christine Garland, whose birth name we do not know and we do not have a picture of. And she got married to Stephen, who was the chef at Antonelli's. They eloped quickly due to a pregnancy. Elizabeth wasn't aware that the party was for swingers. That's Guy's party. Rumor has their daughter showed up with Guy and didn't seem comfortable switching partners. So her daughter showed up with Guy and didn't feel comfortable switching partners. So that's like, okay. Guy's main positive contribution to the company involved expanding the markets. Okay, so this is the Brazil lady. There's also a section where Sam speculates that Elias may have also cheated on Gwyneth. Gwyneth was always much kinder to Sam than Elias was. She always got the impression that Gwyneth was able to coerce Elias into allowing Sam back into the family using some kind of leverage. So knowing that he cheated on her, maybe? She mentioned that Elias and Gwyneth were known to loudly argue, and sometimes about another woman. Sam says her son Ernie once asked her who's Beth. As far as Sam knows, Elias once had a secretary named Elizabeth, a different Elizabeth than the supervisor of the farm, but she never met her. How would we find out anything about a lady from the 1920s named Elizabeth? Elizabeth Anderson? I thought maybe she was, like, related to Gwyneth. I don't know. Oh, the work records. Yeah, I guess we have those now. Okay, so I feel like we've looked up the previous information. We've fully gone through our notable events. Maybe not completely fully, but we really tried. Let's try the work records. You're given some partial staff records to cross-reference by Sam Madsen. These records are based on old tax mailing information and only detail the employees that worked directly for Roottree or in their corporate office. Many of the laborers on their farms and in their factories are not listed. That sucks because well, I guess we'll see if that includes maybe Elizabeth or not. Not sure how helpful it'll be, except for cross-referencing Guy's secretaries and visits overseas. Spider searching people, just because they're listed in these books, will likely be very time-consuming and a waste of your time. Okay, so don't just Google everybody or spider search everybody who's in here. So leadership, Zach Morden. Special management, Ernest Madsen Jr. Office staff, Edward Roottree, Lloyd Carpenter, Carl Monroe, Elizabeth Cravensworth. Let's grab that name and search that one. Please. Okay. It's fine. Eli C. Roottree, Fred Cross, Albert Cross, Douglas Rosenberg. Secretaries. Juliet McCullen. Oh, here's Joanna Robertson. Yeah, we'll let's put it in our pocket. Okay. Juliet McCullen, Joanna Robertson, Doris Mays, and Beth Knox. We might have to look these up. Farm and Manufacturing, Sam Madsen, John Miller. Oh, Elizabeth Farrow. So that's Elizabeth. So she was Christine Farrow. Okay. We still need a picture of her. Although maybe we can Google her or search her now. Let me try Elizabeth. Okay, that's fine. Christine. Yeah, there's Joanna Robertson. I doubt she would be in any of these other magazines. Okay. Well, at least feel pretty confident that's her. Thomas Green, Fred Gleason, Stuart Todd, Sam Harmon, Robert Logan, Michael Crane, Jack Keating's major expenses, none. So these are the company records in 1975. I wonder if I should try. Let me try just the secretaries. I know it's Beth Knox. Okay. Let me just try them in the Butler County Times real quick. Nothing. Okay. Alright, so let's go to the next one. This is 76 to 77. Oh, there's no intuition points here. Okay. I wonder if the intuition points update? As you progress, these numbers will change. Whenever you find more evidence or lock in families. Okay. Interesting. Okay. So you keep an eye on this. So this is probably nothing because we already found out. Joanna Robertson's name. We already have her locked in. Okay, let's keep trying. Here in 1977, okay, here it was announced that Zach would be retiring. Guy would be taking over the start of 1978. They held a retirement party in November. Hello. Before spending the final month working on the transition. During 1976 to 77, the following changes took place. So Guy Hudson replaced Ernest Madsen Jr., special management, office staff. Patrick Decker was hired. Product management. Eli C. Roottree no longer employed. Ernest Madsen Jr. is now under product management. Secretaries. So Christine Farrow was hired. Joanna Robertson is no longer listed among the secretaries, but a Joanna Fellows has been added to the list. So we know that Joanna Robertson changed her name to Joanna Fellows. Joanna Fellows the next year, her and Beth Knox no longer employed. Christine Farrow is no longer listed among the secretaries, but a Christine Garland has been hired. So we know Christine Garland, they changed names. John Miller no longer employed. Gwyneth Madsen was hired. Gwyneth is Sam's daughter. Major expenses. Beth Knox 40-year work anniversary bonus. Dang! Zach Morton retirement party, $20,000. So what can we get from this? Oh, maybe it's just because we don't have Christine Farrow locked in. In 1978, Guy Hudson took over. Volatile period in company staffing. Many travel expenses were listed. Ugh. And Guy began trying to develop a new 5-piece. Okay. Guy Hudson replaces Zach. Edward Roottree, Elizabeth Cravensworth, and Lloyd Carpenter no longer employed. Raffertoons is now listed as office staff. Wasn't Raffertoons like a thing about... Who's that guy? Oh, the Raffertoons site that once had a photo of Clark on it no longer exists. Instead, it redirects to a site for a telephone number called 1010-250, which frustratingly keeps popping up advertisements in new windows every few seconds. Go back. Website about Raffertoons, Clark Rafferty LaRue's advertising firm. That's right. On it, there's an about page, and you find a picture. Oh, right, inspiration for the famous Super Bowl ad. He was in a department store getting a family portrait with his wife and children, and we had that evidence. Okay. Okay. So product management. Albert Cross, Fred Cross no longer employed. Secretaries Christine Garland no longer working for Roottrees. Yeah, she didn't work there very long. We have a Beatrice Watts and Corrine Schwartz. Julie McCullen, Doris May is no longer employed, and now we have Lisa Lewis and Valerie Ewing. I'm not gonna lie, I want to look up all these secretaries real quick, just because he keeps sleeping with all of them. Corinne Schwartz resides in Pennsylvania, though it appears she lives beyond the Butler County limits. After she was named in a national tabloid, people have come to her place of work and accusing her of being a non-mom. The article explains it's impossible for her to be a non-mom because her only child is still in middle school. As her son's gestation period was approximately 10 years, it doesn't appear that Corinne could have been involved in any of the potential affairs on your tree. Oh, dang. Comes after a few articles from local news stations in Pennsylvania. Recently had to take a leave of absence because people showed up to the car dealership where she worked. She's begging people to stop the accusations so that she can get back to a normal life. In every article you find, journalists have independently verified that she's not a non-mom. Interesting. Okay. So I don't know if, like, this is important at all. So is Beth the Beth from the Elias affair? Oh, that's true. She's been there for 50 years. So that means if it was 1976, Beth Knox's 50-year work anniversary bonus, then she would have been there in 1926? The possible affair was in 1921, 5 years before that. It could be. Possibly. We'll see what we can find out. I'm gonna put that in there for now. Yeah, okay. Let's see. Lisa Lewis and Valerie Ewing were hired. Let's check them out. Okay, nothing on them. I'm gonna highlight Corinne Schwartz. A non-mom. But no. Alright, farm and manufacturing. Thomas Green, Michael Crane, Elizabeth Farrow, Jack Keating's no longer employed. Emily Seinfeld and Sam Cattrall were hired. Robert Logan no longer employed. William Sams was hired. Special and services, interpreter. Susan Ford was hired under a special category that only existed for 1 year. Like, I thought maybe she spoke like Portuguese or something, you know what I mean? At least we can eliminate one possibility for the affair partners. True. Major expenses. Presidential office refurbishment, $52,000. Five Piece flavor development caviar, $10,000 a month. Edward Roottree retirement party, the Christmas bash, the New Year's ball. Travel expenses, Australia, China, France, and Brazil. Ooh, butterscotch sounds good. Wait, flavor development of caviar, it took them 2 years. 4th of July spectacular New Year's Eve ball. That's a ton of stuff. It's so hard to tell what's important in all this information. 2 intuition on that one. Volatility continued. Many new employees didn't tend to stick around very long. Terry O'Connor was hired. Susan Ford has been moved to office staff. Where was Susan Ford? She was the interpreter? Okay. Product management. Douglas Rosenberg no longer employed. Edward Morrison and Robert Andrews were hired. Then Albert Morrison no longer employed. Corinne Schwartz, Beatrice Watts no longer employed. Linda Lewis and Angela Ingram. Lisa Lewis and Valerie Ewing are no longer employed. And Catherine Garrett was hired. What was the timeline on this? The affairs were to 1982. William Sams no longer employed. Emily Seinfeld is no longer employed, but an Emily Barnes is now listed? No idea if that's important. There's so much going on, I know, right? Like, it's crazy. Gwyneth Madsen is no longer employed, but a Gwyneth Cattrall is now listed. That was... Yeah, Gwyneth Madsen got married. Okay. It's like, wait, that sounds familiar. Susan Ford no longer works in this department. She got moved. They tried strawberry. What is Zigua? What in the world is Zigua? Zigua means watermelon in Chinese. So what if they also tried to do like a Chinese company where they did like a Brazilian one? Let's try... China Roottrees is one of the companies created to manufacture and distribute root tree candy, developed as part of the Root Tree Everywhere. Oh, we should probably search Root Tree Everywhere. Initiative. During the late 70s, China began to go through a period of economic reform, and this led to new opportunities for American companies. Then the Root Tree Candy Company decided to pounce. Lang Hongbo who was said to personally win over the Root Tree family and was the owner of multiple textile families, did not wish to import the ingredients and build a special factory to manufacture the candy in China. So instead, they made a deal to import bulk unpackaged Root Tree candy and label it for not only China but additional markets. Hongbo, who was already in his mid-50s when the deal happened, only had daughters, and his brother Lang Hongyu took control upon his death in 1986. After Hongyu died in 1992, it passed the oldest child from the next generation, Lang Xinyu. But this is, yeah, there's absolutely, yeah, daughters, yeah. Grandorf Dove donation? I just want to see, what is this? Grandorf School of the Deaf, formerly Grandorf Dove, located an hour from where Root Tree offices used to be in Butler County, serves much of that part of Pennsylvania and nearby Ohio. According to their website, it's formerly named Grandorf Dove from 23 to 90 because Grandorf was the last name of the founder and Dove is the Danish word for deaf. The founder had issues with government translator, and don't worry, I promise I'll go back to the Chinese, China Root Tree. In 1990, it was renamed to better represent the school's purpose and to correct the embarrassing lack of effort and awareness demonstrated by the government officials in those early days. Staff is listed on the website. You scan through all of the biographies and find that the principal, Miss Ford, Susan Ford, is fluent in 5 languages. That's why she was their interpreter, including American Sign Language. She's been working at school for over 15 years. She mentioned she's not deaf herself, rather learned sign language to communicate with the deaf. Mentioned she was responsible for securing funding for the Hudson Wing. Hudson Wing was an expansion to the Grandorf Dove. She probably slept with him to secure that funding. It's a separate, much smaller building, half a block from the main campus. Operates as a smaller independent school that offers free ASL courses for family members, friends, caretakers of deaf children. According to their history site, they got the name after the president of the Root Tree Company generously donated $250,000, or maybe she had some dirt that he had been sleeping with somebody. There's also a very vague history section that you can somewhat fill in with details from other information you've seen about the school. It mentions that the donation came at the assistance of an employee at Root Tree at the time. It mentions that she learned ASL from the main school before the Hudson Wing. Maybe she's Mrs. Ford's daughter. Maybe there's Miss Ford and her daughter Susan Ford. Mentions that she learned ASL from the main school before the Hudson Wing even existed to surprise her future husband, who was deaf. After realizing how useful a service this could be to non-deaf people that wish to better serve those with hearing issues, she convinced Root Tree management to invest in the school. The Hudson Wing opened and she became the first teacher at the new campus. At first, it only operated on weekends, but since then it added afternoon classes on some weekdays. And I can't find anything on a Susan Ford? There's definitely something here. I don't know what. Okay. There's so much to search. Roottree Everywhere's expansion in the late 70s coincided with some other large changes. The company had mixed success. As far as you can tell, different companies related to it were all formed in very different, sometimes haphazard ways. Minimal organized information about the history online, but you can glean the following. Roottree candy has been distributed locally to certain markets approved by Elias as early as the 40s. These include places like Canada, Mexico, and select countries in Europe, mostly the UK. Roottree Everywhere involved Roottree expansion to other markets that were recessed to be ready for Roottree. This started with 4 that had no share in it. Okay. Australia, Brazil, China, and France. Each of the countries had an entirely new company form. We're gonna have to search all of these, aren't we? Oh, man. Okay. Alright, let's go back to China Roottree. Here, I'm gonna highlight those. Yeah, keep those. That's gonna be information we'll need later. Okay. Let's check out Lang Hongbo. Oh, I'm 10 minutes over. Okay. Okay. I did not realize that. I'm gonna stop here for the evening, but we're gonna check out Roottree Everywhere next time. So let me. Okay, so start next stream with Roottree China. Okay, an international menace. It's so true. Okay, so hopefully that'll remind me next time where we need to get started. Oh, no, that's not what I wanted. That's not the right button to push. There it is. Alright, y'all. I am gonna be signing off the evening. Thank you so much for joining me. Sorry, I'm yawning. The, like, rainy, like, the rain sounds in the background are, like, very soothing. But yeah, thank you all so much for joining me. So just as an announcement for anybody who was not here at the beginning of the stream, I will be moving next week, and so I have a lot going on in terms of like getting the new house ready and getting everything ready to move. We're moving on Friday, so that means there will be no Tuesday stream, so no Tuesday Tuesday next week, and no Thursday night stream. So we'll be taking a break from both Nancy Drew and Siberia next week, but we will play The Roottrees Are Dead on the following Sunday, because I should be in and established by then, hopefully with no issues. So, so it should be good. But I am taking a little break for 2 streams, just so that I'm not stressing myself out and making myself panic. And that's my form of self-care, is that I can do that kind of stuff, and it'll be great. Yeah, there you go. Catch up on VODs from Tuesday, Tuesday. So they'll be there. You can watch them. I've got plenty of VODs up on the YouTube channel if you want more stuff to watch. And if you really, really miss me for some reason. No, not the hydrate. Not the hydrate. And then water. But I promise to hydrate later. But yeah, so yeah, let's see if there's anybody to read to. Look how I love this, like, jazzy music. There's lots of people playing Roottrees Are Dead. Oh, thank you for the raid message. I don't know, does anybody have any suggestions on who to stream or who to raid? I don't think I really have anybody. Like Sunday nights are kind of tough. I don't really see anybody unless anybody has any recommendations. I always miss you. Oh, fair enough. This is sweet. But luckily there will be some VODs. I'll be probably hanging out and posting a lot of pictures in our Discord as we get settled and stuff. I'll show you guys some of the new house and all that kind of stuff and keep you updated. And I think we're pretty much finished with the bathroom. My husband installed the vanity. I think we just need, they call them a faucet and, you know, for the sink. Alright, I don't see any suggestions for raids, so I think we're just gonna call it there. Hope y'all have a good night and a good week. I'll miss you all very much, but I will see you next Sunday, okay? Have a great night. Bye, everybody.